In the world of sports, there is no game bigger anywhere than in New York City. There is no drama better than those played out in Madison Square Garden. There is no basketball rivalry more bitter than this one. Tonight, the New York Knicks face elimination at home in a series that began with Alonzo Mourning's late shot, which gave Miami Game 1. The unexpected arose in Game 2 as New York tied the series. The first, but not the only miracle of the series, put the Heat up 2-1, only to be followed by the unexpected Part 2. And Wednesday, the closing drama of the Heat guards in Game 5. Tonight, the Miami Heat, losers of the last 2 playoffs against the Knicks, can win this series and avoid a perilous Game 7. It'll take everything they have to do it. It seems the New York Knicks and Miami Heat are inseparable. So much drama and passion embraces each game, wrapped up in a series where every basket is significant. And tonight, another scene, Act 6, at the world's biggest stage, Madison Square Garden. It's the 6th game in the best-of-7 Eastern Conference Semifinals. Miami leading New York 3-2. And good evening, everyone. Kevin Harlan alongside John Thompson and Danny Ainge and Cheryl Miller. Great to have you with us tonight from the Big Apple. Well, these are desperate times for the New York Knicks, who face elimination tonight against a Miami team which has won 4 of the last 7 playoff games in this building. It was about a year ago that critics said that Pat Riley should tear apart his team after losing again in the playoffs to the New York Knicks. But Riley stood pat to see if once and for all his team can do it. A win tonight validates his plan, and they've done it with rebounding in this series, John Thompson, something that the New York Knicks have not done very well.
But it's something that they better do tonight, Kevin, because the Knicks want to get out and run. In order to run, guys like Marcus Camby, who have been struggling a little bit offensively, have to get on the weak side, block shots, have to get on the weak side, rebound. He's got to help to initiate that Knicks fast break because he's very significant to them today.
And who catches your eye, John, on the Miami side of things?
Very similar to Marcus Camby. You spot up on Alonzo Mourning, and in the back there's P.J. Brown, blocking shots, rebounding, running on the break and filling lanes. It's extremely important that those 2 players support those key centers in the middle.
Well, in this series, as you might know, there's been so many seductive matchups, and maybe the marquee matchup has been Dan Marley against Allan Houston. It's been a beauty.
Oh, it has been a beauty, and Dan Marley won the matchup in Game 5. One thing we haven't seen since Game 1 is Allan Houston coming off of screen downs. He's Charlie Ward right here trying to hit him off the screen, creating some space for Marley. One of their favorite plays is Houston rubbing off of Larry Johnson at the high post, coming off the weak side on Patrick Ewing, catching the ball there for the open jump shots on the outside. Instead, they've resorted to a lot of isolation basketball where Marley has a chance to use his brute strength against Houston, forcing him to many turnovers and a lot of bad shots. And Houston better step it up if they have any chance to win tonight.
And as always, Danny, for both teams, fouls become a big factor.
Right, and they've got to keep Patrick Ewing, and Miami has to keep Alonzo Mourning from getting silly fouls. Both centers have been in foul trouble the last 2 games.
Well, as we said, Miami has a 3-2 lead in this series. And the one thing Miami Heat coach Pat Riley wants to avoid at all costs is a Game 7 Sunday in Miami.
I hope that our resolve, born out of our pain, to some extent will wreak havoc in a very positive way so we can advance on to the Eastern Conference Finals. I know my team has played hard. I know they've played together. Whether or not they deserve it or not is irrelevant. They got to do it, and that's what tonight is about.
NBA Playoffs 2000 on TNT. Brought to you by Volkswagen. On the road of life, there are passengers and there are drivers. Drivers wanted. By Mission Impossible 2 starts Wednesday, May 24th in theaters everywhere, rated PG-13. By 10-10-220. Dial it and talk up to 20 minutes for only 99 cents. And by the Fannie Mae Foundation, showing America a new way home.
It's a beautiful night in New York, and we are primed for the playoffs on TNT. It's the Miami Heat against the New York Knicks. And here are tonight's Gatorade starting lineups for Miami. Tim Hardaway, Dan Marley, Jamal Mashburn, Alonzo Mourning, and P.J. Brown. And for the New York Knicks tonight, Charlie Ward and Allan Houston in the backcourt with Latrell Sprewell, Patrick Ewing, and Larry Johnson. We are seconds before the start of Game 6, and as you can see, Miami Heat coach Pat Riley, who has been in so many big games, you wonder what goes through his mind right about now.
I really tried to get to a real state, you know, clear-headed state, and to make sure the instructions that I give them going out are the right ones, to make sure the first play is the right play, to make sure we can get off to a good start. There's always a train of thought of worry there. You know, you always go through that. And I think that's why, you know, sports are great, because at the end of the night, there's going to be a result. And a lot of times the result, you know, creates consequences that a lot of people don't like.
Well, they got two coaches here by my side, John Thompson and Danny Ainge. I'm sure you guys know that same feeling, John.
Well, one thing for sure, he's not taking it for granted. Regardless of how many championships he's won, he's just as nervous as he was in trying to win this game in any one he's ever played in.
Danny?
Well, yeah, I mean, he hasn't lost very many, so the consequences haven't been too bad for Pat Riley throughout his career.
We've got a wonderful officiating crew tonight here in the Garden for the monumental Game 6. Steve Javie, Joe Forte, and Don Vaden. Steve Javie's dad was a longtime NFL referee, and Joe Forte came from the ACC a couple years ago. The New York Knicks and the Miami Heat, neither team has been able to win consecutive games in 10 consecutive games. Got to go back to 1998 to find the last time one team was able to put together 2 straight wins. And here we go with Charlie Ward working on Tim Hardaway. Ewing inside on Alonzo Mourning. The bump by Mourning, the shot by Ewing, and the rebound by Tim Hardaway.
Well, good shot by Patrick. I like Patrick's body language already. Alonzo did a good job of strong-arming him and keeping him out and making him shoot that fadeaway.
Into Alonzo, who drew the double team. It snaps over to Mashburn, now to Marley for 3, who may have been hit when he took the shot. Latrell Sprewell the other way, flashing by Mashburn with the whistle and a foul. It'll be blown on Jamal Mashburn of the Miami Heat, and that's his first of the game.
Well, that was a great sign. The Knicks are starting off the way they did in Game 5. Sprewell is really pushing the ball down the court quickly and putting pressure on Miami, but they've got to be able to sustain it.
And they got to be able to get the rebounds. Charlie Ward did a fantastic job that time of contesting Dan Marley's shot.
Ward driving inside the lane with the rebound pulled down by Alonzo Mourning.
Well, that puts a lot of pressure on Alonzo. They went into Patrick now. Ward is penetrating. Sprewell penetrate. If Patrick and Alonzo get in foul trouble, it's the advantage to the team of whichever one gets in foul trouble first.
Mashburn, shot clock down to 8 with Ward in his face. He knocks it in.
Great play by Mashburn right there. He had a smaller Charlie Ward on him, and you say, well, why didn't he go to the basket? Because he knew the double team was coming. Took the quick shot. No contest by Charlie Ward.
Sprewell inside. Slammed in by Patrick Ewing.
Well, and that's an advantage of driving. The Knicks ordinarily are not penetrating a lot, but by penetrating, he pulls Alonzo, and Patrick ends up getting an easy basket, and that's very significant to have penetration as well as getting it inside.
And a foul called on Patrick Ewing. And Danny, you addressed this in our open tonight.
And the exact same thing happened in Game 5. Patrick got a really cheap foul early in the game, and that just takes all the aggressiveness away from him defensively.
And he's got to stop fussing about it, Danny, and get in a position to be smarter and not pick up those fouls, particularly this early in the game.
Mourning passing once again. P.J. Brown with the miss. A shove and a foul called inside. And here's some of the rugged play as Alonzo Mourning picks up his first foul.
And another silly foul. I mean, there was no way he was going to get that ball. He had no business jumping over the back of Charlie Ward. Charlie Ward, you got to give the guy credit. Stayed in there, boxed him out, and now they're even. They both got 2 silly fouls.
Knicks have started 1 of 4 shooting from the field. Brown defending Larry Johnson. Charlie Ward for 3. That's a good sign for New York.
It is a good sign. Now they doubled down on Larry Johnson. Again, I don't know why they're leaving Charlie Ward open. P.J. Brown looked to me like he had Larry Johnson under control.
Alonzo across the lane. Ewing is right there. The quick double on Zoe. Shot clock down to 8. Mashburn shifting by Ward, missing the shot, rebound by Sprewell.
But at least they're getting good ball movement. Coach Riley feels that by moving the ball, you'll get good shots. But Sprewell is really pushing the basketball.
And look at him wheel around the defense.
Great quickness by Sprewell. He's just forcing his will in the transition. There really wasn't anything open except his great one-on-one ability.
Alonzo leaning inside the lane and squeaking by Patrick Ewing.
Well, and I think that was smart on Patrick's part, not to try to challenge him once Alonzo spun and got the inside position, not to pick up a second foolish foul this early in the game.
Next 3 of 6, as you just saw to start the game. Marley is defending Houston. Boy, they are calling this close with a foul called on Dan Marley.
You see Sprewell here in the open court. The 4 defenders are back, but he just makes a great individual move against 2 Miami defenders. And, you know, again, it's all set up by their defense. They trap more aggressively to start the game, and they look to push the ball. They need to sustain it throughout the course of the game.
Allan Houston with the rebound pulled down by P.J. Brown, who's coming off a marvelous 12-rebound game Wednesday in Miami. It's Mourning over Johnson. P.J. Brown with an offensive rebound, but this time he can't convert, unlike on Wednesday. And here comes Allan Houston the other way with the spin and a shot.
See, and I like what I'm seeing from Houston. Now he's being aggressive. He missed a couple of shots. He's not afraid. He's still putting it up. And the guy can shoot too well to be hesitant about his shot.
Brown with the drive and flips it out for Marley, and a three-point shot right down the middle.
Well, you saw Larry Johnson fronting Mourning out on the inside. Patrick picked up PJ. Patrick's got to move his feet. He can't get a second foul, but he just can't let him go around it that easy.
And Miami quickly to within 2 points. Defense by Marley there.
Marley's one of the best I've ever seen at stealing the ball from the man that he's guarding. He's got very strong hands.
The Knicks turn it over for the first time. Will Hardaway make him pay? Inside, they fight for the ball. It's loose and volleyballed out of bounds.
Well, that's a good sign for the Knicks also, Kevin, because Hardaway is not hitting that shot that he hit down in Miami. Once he gets going, that puts a whole different dimension on how the defense has to be played.
At least not hitting it right now.
So far, so good.
Miami has started 3 of 9 from the field. Larry Johnson, a quiet game 5, shoving his way. Oh, what a move by Johnson, but it won't go, and P.J. Brown is there with the rebound.
Well, that was the first time I haven't seen him double Larry Johnson when he's got that ball deep. Make him shoot a shot over the top of P.J.'s long arm.
There's a shove and a foul down low, and a New York Knick is guilty, and that's Larry Johnson who picks up his first personal foul tonight. They are calling it close.
Yeah, they are. And I think that's a good thing. They're fouls, they're bumping, and they need to have their bench be ready to play tonight, because I anticipate there's going to be some early foul trouble in this game.
Sensitive, these 2 teams.
Bench was pivotal for Miami in game 5. Shot clock at 6 as Mourning is doubled. Marley to Hardaway with the spin, the drive, and the kick. Marley for 2. Good! Dan Marley right between the eyes.
Great shot by Marley. Good defense by Charlie Ward. Marley with the patience. You know, most guys would have rushed that shot with 2 seconds left on the shot clock.
So Miami has their first lead tonight.
Great defense right there by Charlie Ward. Dan Marley just very patient. Veteran play.
Timeout.
We've learned. You know, I was thinking we've practiced a month now. A lot of teams are off. And that month playing quality teams, asking guys like Aaron McKee and Theo and different people to step up, I think in the long run has to help you. But we have to get better to be with the elite teams.
Philadelphia, though, not that far away from being one of the elite teams. Where Indiana sits right now as that window of opportunity closes for the Indiana Pacers. So the New York Knicks have seen Dan Marley put in 6 of Miami's first 10 points tonight. And the Heat on top by 1.
New York has spread the ball very well so far to start this game. They've given the ball to Larry Johnson. There, Patrick Ewing gets his second touch in the post. And Houston, Sprewell, and Charlie have each had their opportunities early in this game.
And Patrick now has 4 points, and the Knicks have a lead.
Well, and I think New York is doing a good thing. They put Charlie Ward to pick up Hardaway full court. Even if they don't get the ball, they're putting pressure on his legs by doing that.
They've got Mourning in a straight jacket. Shot clock at 5. Marley for 3. He's already knocked down 2 triples in this game. Ewing with the rebound. Ward in full flight. Larry Johnson. Across the lane, Allan Houston with a contorted shot, which is rebounded by Brown, who already has 4 in the game.
But still, New York is putting a lot of pressure on Miami by getting it out and running as they started off the last game and stopped midway through the game doing this.
Mashburn driving down the baseline with the whistle and a New York foul called inside as he takes it into the teeth of New York's defense.
Yeah, Latrell Sprewell was making complaints that they're double teaming Mashburn too much, saying I can handle him all by myself. And there Mashburn goes right by a quicker Latrell Sprewell. He's got such an advantage down there on the low post with his size.
Sprewell picks up his first foul of the game. Free throw shooting is so big for this Miami team, in particular Jamal Mashburn, and John, no bigger place to succeed than here in the Garden, where he takes his first free throw in New York of this series.
Well, and that's very significant, Kevin, because now Mashburn has started to penetrate a lot more aggressively as opposed to being lackadaisical and standing out and shooting jump shots.
You know, you see the 9 and the 8 free throws in the game. That is so important in the playoffs. And they need more guys to take it to the basket against New York's interior defense, especially with Camby out of the game.
Well, we've seen in this series the team that tries to pound it inside usually has the advantage in every game.
Yes, and the second chance points is critical in these series as well.
Boy, no kidding. That's been huge. The team that has the most second chance points in this series has always won. Latrell Sprewell, who plays better at home than on the road.
Yeah, you know, and there Sprewell gets the ball in the wing. You know, he could take a lesson from Mashburn and try to get to the basket. They take the standstill jump shots, and there's no offensive rebound opportunities because everyone's standing around waiting for him to drive.
P.J. Brown allowed to fire. Here comes New York, a 3-on-3. Houston driving by Hardaway. Knocked away. Brown may have gotten a hand on it. Now here's a 3-on-3 break the other way for Miami, authored by Tim Hardaway.
Well, and Allan Houston's probably taking more shots in this game than he took in the whole last game. He's being far more aggressive. The ball slipped out of his hand that time, but at least he's trying to be aggressive offensively there.
Hardaway's got his first 2 of the night. It's Ward feeding inside to Ewing. Rebound, Larry Johnson. Then he fumbles it away. Last touch by a Miami player.
Right here we see great help by P.J. Brown. Dan Marley actually is coming from the weak side. Does a good job of containing and making Patrick change his footwork so Alonzo can contest the shot.
Alonzo Mourning, the NBA Defensive Player of the Year, just had the block shot.
Well, that was just a great block. I mean, Alonzo's reaction, Patrick was there. He got over there quickly and got the ball.
The centers, John, are playing very well tonight. A lot of spring in their
Well, they're active. As long as they stay out of foul trouble and don't pick up foolish fouls, they're in good shape.
And you like active centers.
But they have to be active, and particularly going towards the basket more than fade, putting pressure on each other. Just as Patrick did there, Dan might have picked up the foul, but he puts pressure on the defense by going to the basket.
And they're trying just to manufacture something inside.
Well, absolutely. And if you look at this, Alonzo comes over, and he just makes a great play. He's not in the picture. Then he comes over and stretches out. The thing that he did well is he blocked that shot without putting a lot of body on Patrick.
Marley just picked up his second foul.
Yeah, that's a big foul. You know, if he could have gone another couple minutes, but Bruce Bowen has done a fantastic job coming in and tag teaming against Allan Houston in this series.
When a lot of Marley's offense will be missed and he's getting in foul trouble now. We don't think about that here of late with Marley, but he's been shooting the ball well in this game and in the last game also.
The New York Knicks have missed their last 5 shots. And Ward collapsing and falling out of bounds with the ball with 2 seconds on the shot clock.
Well, Houston I like his aggressiveness, but I don't like the decision making. He's playing a little bit too hyper right now. It's a fine line of being aggressive and calming down and getting the shot you want. That was a terrible pass.
What would you tell him if you were coaching?
Just calm down. You know, work hard to get the ball and take a deep breath. It's the hardest thing to do in coaching is to teach guys to play with the intensity on offense and then and calm down on defense.
And we just saw Dan Marley leave with his second personal foul, and John Bruce Bowen, who's trying to work it inside, And a quick foul called on Allan Houston of New York. That's his first.
Well, and that's a part of it. I would still rather see Houston being more active, making mistakes of commission rather than omission. I mean, he's aggressive. He's trying to do things. He's taking shots. Some of the shots aren't as good, but I still think a person who shoots as well as he does, he's been a little too much laid back for me. I think you can calm him down, but it's hard to get a guy who shoots that well to shoot more than he should shoot.
And he's a good scorer. There's been no doubt about Allan Houston, who's an all-star this year. But does he work hard enough to get open for those shots?
I think he does a lot of the time. I think he needs to be more aggressive. And again, he's starting on the weak side. He's busting his butt to get the ball, but now he's just got to be calm. He's got to calm down when he catches it.
Here's Latrell Sprewell finally dripping in, and Sprewell has 4 to start the game.
Well, there's a duel going on between he and Mashburn. I love the look in his eye. Once he made that shot, he turned around and looked at Mashburn.
I think Spree's on a mission. Sprewell had 13 points in the first 14 minutes Wednesday in Miami. And Mashburn at the other end, and Ewing climbing the ladder, shoved by P.J. Brown, and a foul called on P.J. Brown. That's the first on him tonight.
And they're in the penalty, so that's a good break for the New York Knicks. But Sprewell's doing a good job setting the pick and roll, creating the switch, knowing he can get a shot off of Tim Hardaway anytime he wants. Miami switching that 1-3 pick and roll. Good play by Jeff Van Gundy.
Great atmosphere tonight here in the Garden. It's game 6. With Miami leading 3 games to 2. And as we mentioned before in our open, the Miami Heat have won 4 of their 7 playoff games against the Knicks in this building. So they've had success here.
But this is a new ball game. This is a new ball game. That's a great feeling, though. You come in the game, you have a lot of confidence.
Exactly.
Because you know you're capable of winning in here. But in the same token, you've got to win this ball game.
I like this lineup that New York has come out with. I like Camby at the 4-man at the spot and moving Larry Johnson to the small forward, keeping Patrick in the game. Sprewell going to the 2 guard where they're isolating him anyway against smaller people. So this is a lineup that's been very successful in the last couple games for New York.
Ewing's got 5 points. Houston goes to the bench. Camby, Ewing, Houston, Sprewell, and Charlie Ward, who has been one of the big stories at the point guard for the Knicks in this series. Shot clock at 9. Zoe, who has been passing more than shooting tonight. Bowen ends up with it on the 3 try. It's loose inside, collected by Campbell.
But Brown got a hand on it. Somebody's got to put a body on Brown. Last game he did the same thing. They started to box out Alonzo and attack the boards, but Brown is free and coming into the board very aggressively.
Ward for 3. And a rebound off the hands of Camby, an offensive rebound for New York.
And those are big for New York. They haven't got a lot in their losses. They're getting a lot of those in the games they've won.
Ward drives. Sprewell, a triple. Hardaway there for the rebound. Miami has hit a couple of threes, just 1 so far for the New York Knicks, and a quick timeout taken with 2:49 to play in the first quarter. It's game 6. The New York Knicks are facing elimination. They trail Miami 15-14. In game 5, Miami went inside, and that made all the difference in their win over the New York Knicks on Wednesday, 87-81.
Yeah, they got 15 more free throws and a lot more points in the paint. And this is where Jeff Van Gundy's emphasis was on his defense for this game. Take away the penetration. Make them beat you from the outside. They were breaking down the defense in every aspect from every position in game 5.
Well, I think that, and along with the pace of the game, the Knicks were starting to run against them. Then Miami answered them with a lot of penetration from half court, which in turn really got the Knicks in a depressed mood because they weren't able to stop them from penetrating.
You can see the points in the paint, but here's an interesting thing. The New York Knicks, who finished dead last in rebounding this year in the regular season, are leading Miami tonight in rebounding 11-4.
Well, New York beat Miami during the regular season in rebounding. And, you know, this series has been a disaster, and that's been an emphasis for tonight's game. Again, got to find a way to rebound.
Alonzo Mourning working outside to shoot it over Patrick for 2.
Well, that's the direction you want him to go in, but that was a tough shot. Patrick was there, had his hand there, and Alonzo just nails it.
Mourning has 4. Miami leads by 3. Johnson against Brown. Ward again left uncovered, missing a 3, and Alonzo Mourning is there to inhale the rebound. He's shoved in the process by Marcus Camby and picks up his first foul as Marcus Camby tonight.
They continue to leave Charlie Ward open. Here Larry Johnson again penetrates. You see 4 Miami defenders get in the paint. Charlie Ward wide open, not able to convert that one, but shooting a very high percentage in the series.
One of the things that Van Gundy said is that he loved Larry as far as Larry's posting. He wanted to create more of a posting game. When he has Patrick and Alonzo in the game, they're going to get afraid and come back and help. And as the result of it, Ward might be open a little more when both post people are in.
There you see Alonzo Mourning, who has had 2 very strong rounds in the sweep over Detroit, but especially in this second round against the New York Knicks.
Well, this is a rivalry he's been waiting for. You know, a matchup. They've eliminated him the last couple of years, and he wanted this matchup, and he's played great with great intensity.
Mourning at 18 points on Wednesday, and the biggest lead right now for Miami of 5, 19-14. It's Sprewell against Bruce Bowen. Marley on the bench with 2 fouls. Larry Johnson for 3, who's had a very efficient offensive series against the Miami Heat. A good Miami rebound right there.
I like the energy. New York's keeping the ball alive with Camby and Patrick out there. They've got a couple offensive rebounds, and they almost got another one right there.
Miami has missed 5 of their last 6 shots. And here's Hardaway, one of the great heroes of Game 5. Shot clock at 3, has to fire off balance in the mismatch against Johnson. Rebound by Patrick Ewing. Ewing has 6 rebounds already.
And with this bigger lineup, they're able to neutralize the strength of Miami's rebounding.
Ward slips one into Ewing. Picked up by both Hardaway and Mourning. Doubled by Mashburn now. And he flips it out for Ward. With Johnson on the drive. Inside Marcus Camby. That was a well-orchestrated side-to-side switching of the ball.
Well, and the penetration was great. And when you start to talk about penetration, we've been talking about Miami's penetrating, but every time the Knicks penetrate, good things happen. People come over to help. As a result of it, passes are made, you get easy baskets.
Bowen inside to Mourning. We're under a minute to play here in the first quarter. Driving is Alonzo.
That was a great move.
Dropping the anvil inside.
Well, that was just a great move. He went out, he faked, and then he cut across to the middle, and nobody came over to help. He went middle that time, and he still dunked it. He's just playing well right now.
He knew in the right mind's going to get in the way of that drive.
Right, and Sprewell knew it was his fault. He came over to trap. Patrick thought he was there for the help, and he wasn't.
And now that one's out of bounds.
And you can see Sprewell coming down on Alonzo right there. Patrick thinks he's got that security. There, Sprewell leaves. Patrick abandons him, beats him to the middle, no help. Great move and good patience by Alonzo.
Again, inside play. As we have Chris Childs checking in for Charlie Ward. As Ward began the game 1 of 4 with just a single assist. And Miami brings in Clarence Weatherspoon for the first time. He has been good on occasion in this series.
Yeah, but not often enough.
Right.
He had a good quarter, but they need some point production out of him again tonight.
Hardaway missing badly. Nice defensive rebound by Marcus Camby in the final 15 seconds of the first quarter. I say offensive because they need him to be good on the offensive glass.
Yes, they do, but they need some defensive boards so they can get in transition as well.
Sprewell working on Bowen. Final seconds of the first quarter ticking off. Loose inside, claimed by Mashburn. Good if it goes. And it goes astray. And at the end of 1 quarter, Alonzo Mourning was dominant with 8 points and 4 rebounds. At the end of 1 in Game 6, the Miami Heat trying to eliminate the New York Knicks, and Latrell Sprewell lead it 21-16. Well, the center of the NBA tonight is in New York, and this is the NBA and the playoffs on TNT. Kevin Harlan, John Thompson, Danny Ainge, and Cheryl Miller. And you can see the big lineup for New York and how it works.
Well, yeah, they've been able to hold their own rebounding-wise so far in the first quarter, 14-14, and New York has out-rebounded them. They have Chris Childs in for Charlie Ward right now, but it's still a big lineup, 4-1 on the offensive glass. And but the problem is it's not as good of offensive team.
We begin the second quarter with Anthony Carter in the game. Tim Hardaway is the one of Pat Riley is on the bench, resting that sprained left foot. Mashburn trying to chisel his way for a shot, and the rebound pulled down by Camby, who looks much more active tonight.
Yes, he's a lot more athletic, and he just was up above the rim, above all the other bodies. Patrick had his work. cut out, just keeping Alonzo off the glass.
John, the Knicks are 2 of their last 13 from the field as Sprewell takes it inside.
Well, when they do defend, they've got to get out and run a lot more rather than trying to play a half-court offense, because as Danny said, they don't have a lot of offensive players in half-court sets that are capable of playing. But speaking of what, the big fella just dropped one in.
Boy, he looks young.
That was the best ball movement I've seen by New York. They've been running so many isolations. That was a good time. Childs did a great job of penetrating on the secondary offense.
Well, they've got to get off like they did in Miami. When they get the ball, they've got to get out and run, set the tempo up a little bit faster, particularly here at home.
Weatherspoon challenging Camby, missing badly with a little more than a minute gone here in the second quarter. And Chris Childs, who's had a disappointing series against Miami, feeds inside to Johnson.
Well, we better shut the doors. There might be a breeze in here by the looks of that last shot by Camby.
Ewing inside.
Well, that was a good weak side move. Alonzo gravitated towards the ball, and Patrick just utilized his height and came around Bourne and got a great putback.
Well, the great thing about that play was Camby, I think, occupied Mourning and freed up Patrick on the weak side glass.
Out of bounds. It ricocheted off the New York Knicks.
And you can see right here, Alonzo's going for the block, but here comes Camby and seals them both in there. Patrick wide open on the glass.
Patrick Ewing has 9 points, John, and 9 rebounds to begin this game.
Well, and that's a good sign, because I think Alonzo has to be occupied. You want to try to get him in foul trouble inside. And by going inside to him, Charlie Ward did a good job of getting the ball to him early.
Carter driving on the baseline. Sprewell. Houston is back in for Larry Johnson. That sub made moments ago. Driving is Childs, flipping it to Ewing. Retrieved by Childs with about 2 minutes gone here in the second quarter.
But what was good about that is the Knicks pushed the ball that time as opposed to waiting for Miami's defense to set up.
Ewing was kneed. They had both Carter and Mourning there. And the foul for a second time goes on Alonzo Mourning. One of the big early developments of this Game 6 with Miami leading 21-20. The Knicks tonight have the edge on the glass 18-14, but through the series, John, Miami has out-rebounded the Knicks all 5 games coming into tonight.
Well, Kevin, I think that's indicative of Miami's defense. The team with the best defensive team will be able to get rebounds, particularly on the defensive board. It also is an indication of the fact that the Knicks do not always play fast enough to get down there and get early offense baskets, therefore putting themselves in a position to get follow-ups and putbacks.
Most significant change since that timeout. The fouls on Alonzo Mourning have put Otis Thorpe in the game for the first time for Miami.
Right now, and now Jeff Van Gundy runs the risk of wearing Patrick out, but he has his way down there in the low post so far in this series against Otis Thorpe. So you hope Patrick doesn't get too tired. At the same time, put some pressure on Miami's defense with Alonzo out.
And a quick foul called on the aforementioned Thorpe.
Well, and that's Danny's point about Patrick getting tired, whereas Alonzo will use quickness and get to the ball and block it. Otis is going to put a lot of body on him, lean on him, and push him a lot, and he should. And as a result of it, in the long run, that could easily wear someone down.
Here's Ewing glancing up at the opposite end of the floor for the shot clock with the target on Thorpe. The rebound is gobbled up by Weatherspoon. There's a 3-on-3. Carter to Bowen for 3. Rebound inside, front court by Thorpe, but he knocked it right to Childs, and the Knicks right back the other way. A 3 by Childs. And a rebound by Weatherspoon.
Did you see that quickness by Patrick? You just said he did it with strength. He just blew right by him. Unfortunately, this easy shot.
Carter the drive, no call made. Weatherspoon is open and uncovered on top.
Well, and that's an example of the Knicks retreating too far. You know, you go back, you try to clog up the middle, and then you end up leaving somebody like Witherspoon out, who's hit a couple of shots in this series.
So the Heat get their first field goal in 3.5 minutes. With about 3 minutes gone here in the second quarter, Miami leads by 3. Shot clock at 7. Houston flips it to Childs. Another 3-point shot. And Camby had a hand on it. Out of bounds it goes. The Knicks will inbound.
I love that offensive rebound with Patrick and Camby in there. Good shot, but they're settling. They're settling for a lot of 3-point shots. It didn't even look like Childs was ready for the ball when it came to him.
Well, and 3-point shots, Danny, and it's inexcusable that Camby gets that many offensive rebounds. By now, you're in the 6th game of the series. Everybody's got to know that he's a great offensive rebounder. Somebody should just headhunt and put a body on him.
Look at the hustle of Larry Johnson. Knocked away and picked up by Mashburn. 3-on-3 again. The Knicks back on defense well. Carter to Mashburn. Back to rookie Anthony Carter, who finds Weatherspoon inside. Kurt Thomas and Camby were inside defending for the New York Knicks. And the foul called on Kurt Thomas, who, like Weatherspoon, Danny, has had his moments in this series.
Yeah, he's done a good job defensively, but he hasn't really had an opportunity to play a lot of minutes. He's done a nice job against Alonzo when he's had a chance to play, but I expect him to play a few more minutes tonight. This is a lineup, though, against Miami that Larry Johnson should be able to exploit his talents on the offensive post, because they don't have any shot blocking in there. No interior defense. They have a lot of muscle, but no big guys to contest Larry's shot.
A lot of pushing going on. But I also, Danny, think that at this point, they should try to get Houston off. It's very important for later in the game. Allan Houston's got to get some easy baskets, build his confidence up. He's got to get involved a little bit more in the offense here.
Miami leads at 24-20 with Houston firing over Bowen. Rebound by Carter. Miami shooting 32% from the field. The New York Knicks shooting 29% from the floor. And a whistle away from the ball with 8:14 to play here in the second quarter.
And Danny mentioned the fact that Larry posted up. Mashburn seems to have the idea that he can post Larry a little bit too, because he ran inside to try to take him inside.
Well, without Alonzo in the game, Mashburn is definitely their first option, and no matter who's guarding him, they're going to try to exploit Mashburn. But, you know, Miami's doing a good job in this game. The fact that they haven't had one turnover yet.
Larry Johnson leaves with his second personal foul. And Sprewell back in. Jousting now with Mashburn. Shot clock at 5. Look at the drive inside by Mashburn.
That was a great move, and it appears that somebody should have given some help, because, again, he turned into the middle, and he caught the basketball, and he tried to do the exact same thing last time.
And Miami's got their biggest lead of 7 points tonight, and Jamal Mashburn with a beautiful pirouette right here.
He's got great ball handling skills, and he's got 50 pounds advantage. And Camby is up at the top of the key. He's not from the weak side. He has no time to get over there to help out.
Timeout. Patrick Ewing so far for the New York Knicks, 9 points and 9 rebounds.
Well, and the significance of Patrick's play is a big body, the big bulk, and knowing how to play. I mean, you watch him play, you think of a lot of things he's done in the past, and you might evaluate him a little strenuously. But in the same token, he's got 9 points and 9 rebounds in this ball game very quietly.
John, you saw him before the game. How physically is he feeling right now? We read about the back and the knees and the wrist and everything else.
Well, I think he's feeling a lot better in comparison to how he felt when his back was hurting, but it goes without saying, he made a great move driving by the man and couldn't extend and go up and make the layup in the manner in which he used to do it.
Miami's on a 6-0 run. Kurt Thomas inside, rejected with the defense of Miami, and here comes Anthony Carter the other way.
Well, that's not the shot they want for Kurt Thomas. There's plenty of time left on the shot clock. He had 2 guys that were there to block that shot. You got to make better decisions with the ball.
7.5 to play in the half. It's game 6 with Miami trying to close out and eliminate the New York Knicks as Thorpe is dancing with Thomas. Shot clock at 3 for Carter. Oh! What a shot!
You know, it seems like every time he catches the ball with less than 2 seconds on the shot clock, he makes it when he doesn't think about it. The guy averaged 18 points a game in college. It's not like he can't score.
And I think that he's got a lot of stomach. I like Mashburn's body language with the team he's playing with now for Miami. He realizes that he's got to do a lot of the offensive playing for this team, and he's stepping up and looking for his shots. A lot of guys get lost when don't see who they're playing on the floor with.
Warning on the bench with 2 fouls, and here's Carter to Mashburn. Mashburn's got 6 so far. Thorpe sets a screen on 2 defending Knicks, and it falls into the hands of Chris Childs, who races the other way. Houston for 3, and he knocks it down over Mashburn.
I like it. Houston is not hesitating at all. He's trying to get something going for himself. You got to give him a lot of credit.
And New York, John, had missed their last 7 shots until that one.
Well, because I don't think they had any movement. They came down, and the first guy who had a shot took a shot. If you get movement, you'll get some penetration. You'll get some fouls. You'll get guys open and have scoring opportunities. You'll get Houston a shot also by moving.
Allan Houston picks up his 2nd foul.
And it's a good job by Childs. Push it up. He causes a double team in transition. That's one guy that you have to find every time is Allan Houston. Pat Riley immediately brings Dan Marley back in the game.
And Alonzo Mourning. Mourning playing with 2.
Oh, and that's an interesting decision, because if he picks up one now, he's going to be very tentative.
On the other side, it's Thomas who picks it up, and a technical foul is called inside on Kurt Thomas.
Well, but this is the kind of foolishness they can't have. I mean, he doesn't need to have a technical foul right now at this point in time of the game. It was a great play. He tried to defend aggressively, and he pulled up a foolish foul.
Well, especially right there. He gets the ball over the top right there. Alonzo turns on him. It looked like he did get all ball, but you can't react that way.
Here's Dan Marley, who was sensational down the stretch in Game 5 Wednesday in Miami.
Well, the thing I don't like about right that is Joe Forty, the official from the half court, called it when he was doing the gesture to the other official. I'd like to see the official he made the gesture to call the tee, not the one that's not even in the play.
Does that sound like Danny Ainge or what?
I have to rub my eyes almost.
And Thomas' reaction looked like Danny Ainge, didn't it?
Yes, it did.
Yeah, well, hey, that's some whining going on right there. I don't think he deserved a tee right there necessarily, but I wish Don Vaden would have made the call is all.
Warning with the free throw. And he has 10 in the game to Ewing's 9. Ewing on the bench. Halfway through the second quarter. Look at the wheeling down the lane with Allan Houston.
Well, that's great. I mean, he's going aggressively to the board. He had some bad luck early. It's a great time for him to get his confidence. For the second half, he needed to get his confidence. He went a long time without even looking to shoot.
Finally orchestrating the young rookie Carter, who takes it in on Thomas, and there was some nice defense by the New York Knicks. Miami's first turnover of the game.
Well, Thomas took the, Carter took the ball too low and picked up his dribble.
Houston for 2. Rebound by Dan Marley, who's been a fiend on the glass this series.
Well, you saw Houston rush that. Remember when Dan Marley pump fake Charlie Ward running by him and shot the easy 3. Houston had that same opportunity right there, but rushed the shot.
John, they keep dropping it inside on Kurt Thomas, who is defending Alonzo Mourning.
Well, and I think they realize the matchup. I mean, you look at this, too. Allan Houston is working. That's what I like. Before, I thought he was too content in Game 5 to be guarded. He's turning the corner aggressively, going up for his baskets. He's putting pressure on the defense. He's just not standing in one place looking. He's giving the referee something to call, and that's very important.
Meanwhile, Kurt Thomas just picked up his 3rd foul, and this will bring Patrick Ewing off the New York Knicks bench and back out onto the floor.
Well, you know what I like about Otis Thorpe, what he has been able to do is he's a better passer than P.J. Brown from the high post. Has hit Alonzo Mourning over the top on the fronts of Thomas and made him pay for the fronting of the low post.
Biggest lead tonight for Miami has been 9. They lead it now 33-25. With 5:15 to play here in the first half. Next Monday, Danny, John, and I will be in Los Angeles for the Portland Trail Blazers and the Los Angeles Lakers. One of the key games in the regular season was on February 29th when both teams came in with 11-game winning records. And Los Angeles went on to win it 90-87. And then they went on to win 19 consecutive games. Interestingly, they split the season series, guys, 2 wins apiece, with each team winning on the road. It's going to be a terrific Western Conference series.
Oh, it's going to be great. And I tell you what, I think it's a toss-up. Lakers aren't playing as good right now as Portland coming off the 2 series that they just finished, but that's going to be a battle. They've been waiting for each other since training camp.
That will be the battle of battles.
Yes. Well, we saw the free throw shooting. 12 tries for Miami, just 2 tries for New York.
Going to be interesting to see if they try to attack Alonzo a little bit so to see if he can pick up that 3rd foul.
Illegal defense blown on the Heat.
Well, the other good thing, too, it looked like they were running. They screened away to try to send Houston to the ball, and I think it's extremely important to get him going to his confidence. You know, and looking at this, they set a double screen. Allan Houston is coming through. A foul was called, but I love it when Houston's involved as he is now.
Sprewell just turned it over. 3-on-2 with Mourning driving into Camby with the whistle and a foul. Camby wants the travel call made, but that won't be the call of Steve Javie, and instead it's a foul on Camby, who picks up his 2nd foul of the game.
Well, it did look like he lost control of the ball right there and lost control of his footing, but you know, Steve Javie, one of the best officials in the league, could interpret that he tripped over Camby's foot, and that's why he lost control.
Well, and Camby needed to be careful. Anytime somebody's got you isolated like that and going to the basket, if you're not in great position to get a charge, you've got to be very careful, because Alonzo took the space away from him that he needed in order to block the shot. So it's going to be debatable, but in the same token, the call went Alonzo's way.
Alonzo Mourning free throws have been significant in this game. He is 6 of 7, now 7 of 8. And Miami has 10 points now on top of the New York Knicks, their biggest lead of the series.
And you can point right to the free throw line. 13-1 on free throw makes so far in this game, and they outscored them by 15 in game 5. So that's a pattern that's developing.
Corkscrew jump shot by Camby and a rebound by Marley with 4.5 to play in the half.
Well, and I like Camby a lot better when he's coming in from the weak side. Go to Houston, go to Ewing, go to Sprewell with this group. Let Camby follow on the blocks, follow, and offensive board to tap in.
Bruce Bowen hits a 3 like he did with 30 seconds remaining in game 5 to ice the Miami win. Comes up with the big one there, and Pat Riley is playing both Marley and Bowen at the same time.
Right, because he can match up with Houston and Sprewell. He's doing it for defensive purposes.
Biggest lead for Miami tonight.
NBA Playoffs 2000 on TNT, brought to you by IBM. Are you ready for e-business? By Daytech Online, the rules of online trading are changing. And by Killian's Irish Red, which reminds you one look says a lot.
Watch Susan Sarandon, Michelle Pfeiffer, Cher, and Jack Nicholson in The Witches of Eastwick, tomorrow at 8 on TNT.
And now the ball comes out and we're spot blank. And I'll tell you why. It's because it's not going well for us down here. So it's detracting from our effort down there.
There's some attitude going on in that huddle, and I can see why. Van Gundy's New York Knicks shooting 29% from the field.
Well, and one of the things that he's trying to tell him is that they're getting discouraged because offensively they're not playing well, so therefore they're not being as aggressive defensively down at the other end.
Ewing takes it inside, working on Mourning. Ewing has 9 over Mourning. Rebound by Alonzo Mourning. This is a fragile New York team at times, Dan.
Well, it has been fragile. You know, Larry Johnson didn't like the fact that he was missed on a 2-on-1 break last game. A lot of times the guys are frustrated that they don't get enough shots because they're offensive-minded players. They're not a defensive-minded team, and you always think of New York as that defensive-minded team.
Miami shooting 37%. Carter trying to dig his way for position over Latrell Sprewell.
Well, and that's a perfect example of what Van Gundy was saying. He said that to us when he met with us today. If they're not playing good offense, it takes away from the intensity defensively. These guys have got to establish the same attitude that they had down in Miami. They're very lackadaisical now. Look, even on that, Patrick went to the board, Ward went to the board, and 3 guys ran back.
After the Houston miss, and now we're down to 3:20 to play here in the second quarter. Johnson has picked up Mourning. Doubled by Sprewell. And around the perimeter, Carter's hot. But missing right there, rebound by Houston.
Well, they need Houston and Sprewell to get the ball on the boards and push it up. Great job of boxing out by Patrick.
15-point Miami lead. And here comes Carter buckling up. Collides while airborne with Sprewell. And a foul called on Latrell Sprewell. That's the second on Spree.
I haven't seen too many guys outrun Spree in the open court.
Flagrant foul. They just called the flagrant on Sprewell.
And he just out-hustles him to the ball. Great athlete going at Spree's doing the right thing by trying to contest the shot. Really didn't make an effort on the ball that time. Carter used his strength to create the space. What do you think, Coach? Whoa, that was a pretty good foul. That's a flagrant foul.
I didn't have to think about it. I could feel it.
We could all feel it.
I could feel it. I don't like New York's body language. We were talking about body language. I thought they were far more aggressive, far more confident down in Miami. Now they're playing as if they have a lack of confidence, and pretty soon this crowd, which they should use to help them, is going to turn on them because the way they're playing now.
I think they have turned on them, and I think that Miami has taken their confidence away. I think they came out with confidence and with energy, and Miami's defense has stifled them and has taken their heart away from them.
Well, now's not the time to go to sleep. The Heat,
absolutely.
The Heat, 42-25, and the Knicks have their biggest deficit of the entire playoffs.
And this is where leadership comes in. And this is one thing I think New York lacks a little bit of is leadership on the court. They need someone to step it up, and the intensity level needs to increase, not decrease when things aren't going well.
Nice interception made by Latrell Sprewell. That is the second Miami turnover. Spree picked up by Mourning.
Boy, they seem to really be bobbling a lot of balls, too. But they need to get out and run. This crowd will respond if they get the ball out and start to really push the ball and get down court.
Brown going up against Ewing inside. And P.J. Brown picks up his second personal foul.
Miami's done a good job throughout the whole series in ball movement. Here you go from one side of the court to the other. Double teaming, swinging the ball to the open man. Carter does a good job to one dribble shooting. They have 21 more assists coming into the game than New York. I think a lot of it has to do with the ball movement and the knowing of their roles and their spacing.
And Riley and his staff actually track the percentage of where the best shots are taken and what rotating the ball means to their offense.
Right, and the percentages go up a lot higher the more passes they make in their half-court offense and the more times they swing the ball from side to side.
There's a foul called on Dan Marley. It's number 3.
Well, but the good thing about that is Allan Houston resisted him holding in that time. He was far more active, and that emphasized the foul. You know, if you look at Houston now, he doesn't look like he's pleased with it. Look at Danny. Danny, who me, I never fouled him. I just hit him 100 times the whole series.
New York has not had a field goal in 3.5 minutes. Ewing.
See, there's no movement at all in the New York offense.
Nice shot off of Miami and P.J. Brown, so a fresh 24 on the shot clock in a game where they face elimination.
The danger that you face when you're New York, you know, a player like Patrick, who's such a warrior and has done so much, and Houston and Sprewell, is to try to do it too fast and by yourself and lose the team concept right here. And you can see each guy's trying to take it upon himself to get them back in the game, and it's going to hurt them.
Sprewell was pickpocketed by Mashburn. They had the 3-on-1 the other way with a quick foul called on Allan Houston. New York in this quarter, for Coach Jeff Van Gundy, have shot just 4 of 17 from the field in the second.
Well, because Miami has turned the tables. Down in Miami, Miami was penetrating. New York was running. Now New York is standing, and Miami is getting the ball out and putting pressure on them by running down the court.
And some boos begin to cascade down from the upper deck. It's 42-25 Miami. We're back at the Garden in New York, listening to Knicks coach Jeff Van Gundy.
We're trying to do it by ourselves. We're turning the ball over. We got to get the ball moving and make it easier on each other.
Well, I think it's pretty succinct.
Well, very definitely so. He's absolutely right. I mean, you're deep. You don't want to try to get it all back by rushing three-point shots, throwing up bad shots. Get good movement, cut this lead as much as you can. You go in the locker room with a positive attitude. For one thing, these guys need an attitude. They need to get themselves up a lot more.
Well, Alonzo Mourning is on the bench, and not because he's in foul trouble, but because they've got a sizable lead, and it's a chance for Riley to rest his big star.
Yeah, it's a good chance of protecting from getting a third foul, but I like this lineup in New York. You know, Jeff Van Gundy's trying a lot of different things tonight. Now he's got both point guards out there with Latrell Sprewell, the small forward. Let's see how much energy that Charlie Ward and Chris Childs can provide.
And this building tonight has absolutely no juice at all. There's no electricity at all for a very important game.
Well, the New York team has no juice. The building responds to the team. If it played the way it did in Miami by running, getting good movement, attacking the boards, then the town gets excited about it. Inside,
I think the New York team's got to do something, or the New York crowd's got to do something also. Sure, it's responsibility of the team to play well, to get the crowd going, and Miami's taking the crowd out of the game. But, you know, the crowd could help right now by getting in the game a little bit.
This is a town without pity. Look at them. Most of them are sitting here. You know, you're talking about the town without pity. This is it. You know what I mean? You do something, you show us.
And a lot of times, you know, playing in New York City, there's so much pressure because the media just bashes these players when they don't play well. So the players try to make sure they're not the scapegoat. They're not the excuse that the reason they lost.
Miami was on an 11-0 run, but a free throw right there broke that stride by the Miami Heat, who have Mashburn, Thorpe, Bowen, Weatherspoon, and Anthony Carter, who has been as much a surprise for Miami as Ward has been for the New York Knicks in this series.
Well, and you guard Spoon, and you watch Mashburn also.
Good defense by Ward on Carter. Minute and a half to play in quarter number 2 from Madison Square Garden. Sprewell to Ward to Childs.
The ball is moving. Not many people are moving. I mean, they've got to get to a point where at least if they don't get posted up, they can get some form of penetration off of it.
Ewing is in stifling Miami defense. Ward inside, plowing down the lane, and they call a charge on Charlie Ward.
Well, that was a tough play by Charlie right there because he lost control of the ball. I think he wanted to go to Patrick down along the baseline, but he never had good grip on it. Great play by Otis Thorpe.
John, 9 turnovers in the game for New York, 6 in this quarter.
Well, they just don't seem to have their hands. Everybody's bobbling the ball on open floor. Everybody's bobbling it in traffic. You know, it's the kind of game that you just got to settle down, do as best you can, and play the game in the second half. But they're in a position where they still are right. They're at home. They've got to be smart now, though.
Miami back on defense well right here as Sprewell thought he could exploit it, but Thorpe is in his face. And then Thorpe draws the foul. Is plunging into the lane was Latrell Sprewell. That's the second on Otis Thorpe.
Well, that was a perfect example. They had a one-man fast break that time. They had 5 Miami players back in Sprewell. The rest of the Knicks players were in the back. They've got to do something to get themselves charged up. I agree with what Danny said in terms of being charged. Somebody's got to give some leadership right now, and somebody's got to give some direction.
Horrible shooting second quarter as Ward pleads his case. Remember this time last year, Jeff Van Gundy's job was in jeopardy. Remember that? And he was...
he took the team to the finals. Maybe they need someone to be in jeopardy to get some juice into them and some leadership out there, because this is the 3rd game in a row they've struggled in the second quarter. 16 points in game 4, 13 points in game 5, and now only 11 points.
What about three-point shooting in this game tonight? It has played a major role for the Miami Heat.
Well, Miami's making them and New York's not making them right now, and it's all off of penetration. Same thing. Dan Marley's 2 3-pointers last game, the big ones, Boland's 3-pointers. They're off of breakdown off the penetration right there. Double downs on the post, penetration, guys getting beat off the dribble. The 3-point line is wide open for Miami.
Well, and flat out just not guarding people, and that's what Van Gundy was saying. They're letting their lack of offensive flow affect their defense. A lot of times if you're aggressive defensively and you play well, you get out, you get some fast break baskets. That gives you some encouragement for the offensive end of the court.
This is the 23rd playoff game between these two teams. In the previous 22 playoff games over the last 4 years, the Knicks have won 11. Miami has won 11. But tonight, complete domination by the Miami Heat in the first half.
They're just playing with a lot more confidence, and again, it's all started with the shooting, and they're not making a lot of mistakes right now. They've only had 3 turnovers so far in this game.
Well, Miami's being very smart. They're taking care of the ball. They know they have these guys on the ropes a little bit, but I still don't think it's too late if New York starts to get smart out here.
Weatherspoon inside, away from Ewing, got it again, and drew the foul out of the New York defense. AT&T halftime is on deck from Atlanta. And the glove. Sonics guard Gary Payton, one of the great players in the NBA, and Olympian, will join Ernie and Kenny the Jet. How about the Jet, Danny, against the glove?
Oh, my gosh. The glove destroyed Kenny.
Shuddering to think of the remains in the wake of that match. But the Jet, I don't know. Sometimes, man, he hits another gear, and wow.
He did have some jets.
He did.
To go along with that tornado jump.
With the tornado jump shot.
Oh, it's too late now. Kenny heard you. Now, all of a sudden, oh, he did have some jets.
He did.
New York has not gotten a field goal since 5:57 of the second quarter. It's Ewing to Childs. The drive inside. The dish to Patrick. The rejection by Thorpe, and a foul on Miami inside.
Good basketball right there. Very unselfish play. Jeff Van Gundy's timeout got through to him. Don't try to do it by yourself. Continue playing your game. Great penetration by Childs right there. Very unselfish play by Patrick.
Well, and look at the faces of these guys with the Knicks now. I mean, they've got to show a better body language. You've got a whole half of basketball to play.
Terrible
I mean, they're playing in their own gel.
Terrible emotion in a huge game.
Well, what is strange about it, Kevin, is I loved, and Danny talked about the body language they had in Miami. They're at home now. You know, you can make mistakes, you can not make baskets, but their vibes should be sending out a lot more positive than they are now.
You know, and if any team should be a little bit sluggish, if that's the right word to use, it would be Miami, because they know they got a backdrop. They've got Game 7, if it goes that far, in Miami on Sunday.
Right, and in a lot of ways that could be a security blanket to go out and play a lot looser. There's a lot more pressure on New York to have to win.
Ewing again. New York, the last 5 points they've gotten have all been from the free throw line. Mashburn the miss. Rebound by Ewing. And the entire bench for the Miami Heat again thriving. You can see the points and the performance. And the Miami Heat are just 2 quarters away from advancing to the Eastern Conference Finals. New York has eliminated Miami the last 2 consecutive years. And let's send it over to Cheryl Miller.
So even though the team didn't shoot the ball particularly well, great ball movement in the first half, and more importantly, you guys were able to get to the free throw line 21 times.
Sure, that's because we were aggressive in attacking the basket. We wanted to do that early and establish ourselves early so the referees could see how we're playing the game and give us calls.
You know the Knicks are going to come out in the second half to try to cut into this deficit. How do you guys keep this pressure on them in the second half?
First of all, we got to rebound a little bit better. You know, we was giving some second chances on the offensive boards. We got to rebound a little bit better, and we got to take care of the ball. You know, towards the latter part of this quarter, we started being a little bit more careless than we were in the beginning. You know, we got to continue to do what we've done thus far, and that's attacking that rim and forcing the referees to make some decisions.
All right, thanks a lot, Zoe. Let's go back to you, Kevin.
All right, Cheryl, the 2-time Defensive Player of the Year in the NBA. His Miami Heat crushing the Knicks in the first half, 45-30. We send you to Atlanta next on TNT.
The AT&T Halftime Report is brought to you by AT&T. It's all within your reach.
The Knicks at home, 16 points in the first quarter, 14 points in the second quarter. Add them up, that's 30 points in the first half, while Alonzo Mourning and the Heat put 45 on the board. That's a 15-point lead. It's time for the AT&T Halftime Report. Ernie Johnson in Atlanta with Kenny the Jet Smith and Gary Payton the Glove. And you've got some analysis of the first half. And this is a little frightening because the other night when Kenny did it, we were all kind of feeling bad for him because he was talking boxing and he was kind of throwing.
I was throwing my jab. I was snapping my jab.
It didn't have nearly that snap when you did it the other night.
But that was slow motion to illustrate a point.
With the Miami Heat.
Exactly.
So take it from there before we scare everyone.
We talked about every team. We were talking about both teams basically are playing the same way. They keep throwing the same jab if you're a boxer.
There it is again.
Then you have to sometimes go back to Louisiana and expose yourself and give. But when you expose yourself, a lot of times, a lot of times you don't. But you have Mashburn here who says they're going to do something different. They isolate Mashburn over here. They expose themselves. Say, hey, we're going to have him over here by himself. Anthony Carter, he does something different. He gets the basketball, comes off the dribble. Those are the shots that they normally do. So he says, I'm going to expose myself. I know you like that.
Yeah, not as much as GP, apparently.
And so, but in that same thing, the punch went through, and now the Knicks are knocked out.
Yeah, what's up with the Knicks here, Gary?
Well, I think they just can't get anything done. I don't like it when Sprewell and Houston don't get points. They're now, what, 5 for 14 combined, and that's not good for them. Mashburn is going one-on-one against them. They're not putting no pressure on Mashburn and the other guys when they go putting pressure on Marley and Mashburn, too. ISO them, do them like they did in the beginning of the year, let them make plays and make things happen, and they're not.
Ewing has 11 and 11 in the first half. Nobody else has done much, and Alonzo Mourning has 13 and 5. For Miami. As we take this time out, a reminder, log on to NBA.com or TNT.Turner.com and check out Sync TV. It's got real-time stats, news, and playoff chat. It's Sync TV. In fact, Kenny Smith will be on there talking to you probably to respond to what the Glove had to say earlier in his session. If I played Kenny one-on-one, I would have to spot him 20, and we go to 21, and I would beat him.
And I'll answer the 20. And I'll answer the question. I'll answer the question on the chat. Is his shirt backwards? Because he has his shirt on backwards because he spilled something on his shirt, ladies and gentlemen.
Kenny did that on purpose.
I'll answer that question on the chat.
The dreaded cranberry juice episode here on the AT&T Halftime Report. I think we'll be back. Back with more fun on the AT&T Halftime Report. The Pacers and the Sixers playing tonight at First Union Center. And then Sixers, who were down 3-0 in this series, trying to force a Game 7 against Reggie Miller and company. Miller back in there after his one-game suspension for that Matt Geiger episode. And, well, I tell you what, just give Aaron McKee a cigarette and a blindfold right there. Miller going up and over him. Had 13 points in the first quarter. Second period, Nice block by Theo Ratliff. Tony Kukoc takes it to the well. 56-53. Larry Bird's guys at the break. Third quarter, Indiana makes a great run. Look at the play by Mark Jackson. The feed from his back to Dale Davis. Part of a 19-9 run. Later in the third, Reggie Miller with the block on the answer. And then Reggie runs the floor. Uh-oh, he's wide open. Uh-oh. Three-pointer, 25-point night. And it's over for Allen Iverson and the Sixers. And it takes 6 games for Indiana to advance to the Eastern Conference Finals, 106-90. They're in the conference finals for the 5th time in 7 years, the 3rd straight year. Never gotten past it. Let's listen to the post-game chatter.
I knew we was going to play well tonight because we had 2 great practices, and it leads into a good game. It does every time. And I tell these guys, if they just have a couple good practices and they go into the game, they'll probably win the ball game.
They shot jump shots and they made them, you know, and when a team is doing that, you know, what can you do? You know, the only thing you could do is contest shots and hope they miss.
I'm a competitor, you know, and I see the clock going down to my season, you know. I'm out of the game, so obviously the game's over, you know, and I just saw my whole season just pass by just like that.
Allen Iverson has been to the playoffs twice. Each time it's ended in the conference semis, each time against the Indiana Pacers. There was that stretch in this game, Gary, in which Indiana just took control of a close game and blew it wide open.
Well, you know, like I said, Ernie, I think Mark Jackson was the key. It's one play that I love. You know, he had threw the ball to Smith missed. They're going. Now, you see Allen going. He picks him right here on his back, throws the ball, and here goes Dale Davis for a dunk. That's a turning point in the game because you're going on a fast break, miss a shot, picky, and Mark Jackson did a great job.
Mark Jackson, yeah. He had 11 assists on the night, and the Philadelphia 76ers as a team had 15. The feeling of getting knocked out of the playoffs. I mean, the media had said, hey, look, you can be the first to ever do this, you know, win a 7-game series when you're down 3-0. The disappointment, obviously, on the face of Allen Iverson after that game.
Obviously, you know, all of us have been there. I've been there because of the hands of some people sometimes, too. But that's another story for another day. But what happens is that when the playoffs comes around, basketball becomes fun again. You know, during the season, it's a grind and it's work. And now all of this, you're getting the fun feeling back. Everything is excited. You have the camaraderie with the players and everything. And now you realize it's over again and it's back to business. So it's kind of like knocking the wind out of your wholesale.
Like Kenny say, you know, whatever you do during the season, it's over. When you get to the playoffs, it's all hard-knock basketball. You know everybody's going to go hard. You know if you lose 3 or 4 games, you go home for 3-4 months. And it's hard to sit in there for 3 and 4 months, and you sitting watching a team that you think that your team could have beat, and you could be there winning the championship. It's very hard, and I can understand what Allen Iverson's going to go through. He's got to go home, look at these games, and say, hey, I figure I could have been there.
Yeah, we'll talk more about this series and the one that we're watching right now, the New York Knicks fighting for their playoff lives on Inside the NBA. That's coming up after the game as the Glove and the Jet join me here, and we've got all the highlights, all the analysis, and all the post-game talk on Inside the NBA. Boy, New York has some work to do in the second half. Their season could be over in 24 minutes. They're down 15.
Get the fishing poles out.
The AT&T Halftime Report was brought to you by AT&T. It's all within your reach. This copyrighted telecast of the National Basketball Association is intended solely for the entertainment of our audience, and any retransmission, reproduction, rebroadcast, or other use or dissemination of this telecast, or the pictures, descriptions, or accounts of this game without the express written consent of the National Basketball Association is prohibited.
Welcome back to Broadway. We are in New York City for the playoffs on TNT. The Eastern Conference Semifinals in Miami with complete dominance over the New York Knicks, who might be making their final trip onto the floor this season. They trail by 15. Moments ago, Cheryl Miller caught up with New York Knicks head coach Jeff Van Gundy.
Coach, obviously a must-win situation for you guys. What was disappointing about the first half?
Well, we picked the absolute wrong time to play the worst half we've played all year. We're down 15. We deserve to be down 15, and we're going to come back and play a great second half, work our way back in the game, and find a way to win.
What adjustments do you make to get back into this game in the second half?
Well, I don't know if there's any adjustment. Our mental state was a little shaky, at the end of the second half or second quarter, and we've got to regroup, be mentally tough, find a way to get back in the game.
All right, thanks a lot, Coach.
All right, a frustrated Jeff Van Gundy. He seems down, and he should be down.
He should be down. He's holding Miami 34% shooting, and they're down by 15. They cannot make a shot. They got to do a better job offensively.
John, the bench of Miami has been absolutely spectacular again tonight.
Well, they had an opportunity to be spectacular because they got in the ball game because of the lead. He was able to rest people. He was able to protect Alonzo from free throws, and then they passed the ball and took their time. They didn't press. They moved the ball. They took advantage of the fact that they were ahead. They used the shot clock rather than be impatient. I like what Van Gundy said about their attitude. New York's got to definitely change their attitude, become aggressive defensively, and be smart on offense.
Bench has been the difference.
Oh, the bench has been huge. And I tell you what, Anthony Carter, I know that Bowen's done a great job defensively. Weatherspoon's given him a lift. But Anthony Carter, I think, is the heart and soul of that bench. He comes in and gives them a ton of energy.
The Knicks have not had a field goal since almost 6 minutes remained in the second quarter. Same 5 out there for Miami. They started the game. As Mourning is shoved by Ewing. Shot clock is down to 4. Off balance, so throws up an air ball. It's caught by Ward.
Well, that's the kind of shot they want him to take, but they need to push the ball. If it's not there, then get movement at half court rather than stand around at half court. Then they give themselves a chance to get an easy basket as well as a second opportunity on the offensive boards.
The Knicks with their starting 5 on the floor. Johnson to Ward, looking for Ewing. Then the drive, the penetration by Ward, the kick out to Houston for 3. That's exactly what they needed.
That's a great start. A good patience by Charlie Ward, and great shot by Houston. Penetration off of the secondary offense. I mean, the weak side offense creates easy opportunities for Houston and Sprewell.
6 minutes and 43 seconds is what the New York Knicks went from one basket to another from the field, but Alonzo nicely inside.
Well, it was a great move. He faked in the middle, he spun, he went on the outside and just laid it up.
15 points for Alonzo Mourning. Larry Johnson against P.J. Brown, and they isolate. New York has started 2 of 2.
And that's Johnson's first basket tonight, but that's a good shot from Miami. You know, to have him make those shots, no offensive rebound opportunities, New York's offense standing around.
Goal in the first round, New York was down by 14 against the Toronto Raptors, came back and won. A 3 by Hardaway. Ewing chasing it out of bounds, but it ricochets off Miami. And here comes New York. Stretches without a field goal tonight. Almost 10 minutes at various times.
And that's unbelievable. And they're only down 12 because Miami, like we said, only shot 34%. And you know, Miami went 0 for 11 in one stretch in Game 5. So New York knows that they can go in some, easy for me to say, can go in some slumps.
Johnson had it.
Well, Kevin, the difficult thing is what Danny said. I mean, they're getting the ball inside the posting position to learn, but there's absolutely no movement on the weak side. If the ball doesn't go in, Miami is too good at defensive rebound, and New York will get only one shot.
Shot clock at 4. Oh, open inside is Allan Houston. Great pass by Charlie Ward.
That was a great pass, and it was a good finish by Houston, changing the shot in the air.
Now the crowd is alive.
Well, and this is what they need to do. You've got to start it with a good defensive effort, and you've got to get good offensive opportunities. Now New York seems to be getting a little bit more body language.
A double team Mourning, and a foul is called on Sprewell, who came over to help double.
Right here, we talked about Houston using his teammates and freeing him up with some screens before the game. He sets it up good. Good screen by Patrick. Better pass by Charlie Ward.
That's the way he drew it up.
Well, it appears that Miami's trying to protect this lead by dumping everything inside so far, other than this one when Hardaway shot it outside.
Hardaway is 1 of 6. Houston slashing inside to Ward. What a pass by Allan Houston.
Yeah, he comes down to the break, very much under control. Charlie Ward ran the weak side wing the whole way. Great penetration.
Miami had an 18-point lead. New York has started this third quarter 4 of 4. And the lead now is down to 8 for Miami as the Knicks facing elimination.
Terrible shot selection by Miami coming out. 2 shots by Tim Hardaway, forced 3-point shots with time on the shot clock. Mashburn hasn't touched the ball yet in this half. He's one of their best weapons in the half-court offense.
John, what would you tell your team if they had that kind of lead in an important game, if you were Pat Riley, about what this Miami team faces now?
Well, I think they've got to be careful and keep that concentration. You got to get the ball down the court, look for opportunities to push it into Alonzo. If he doesn't have it, push it back out. But you can't get defensively. You've got to tighten up on New York to discourage them because their defense feeds off of their offense. If Miami puts pressure on them defensively, they're not going to play well offensively.
Mashburn for 3, and Miami has missed 8 of their last 9 shots from the field. Sprewell by Hardaway and over Mashburn. Oh, they're on fire! The New York Knicks are back in business. Sprewell has 8.
Well, great job by Sprewell forcing the issue, and a great timeout by Pat Riley to calm this crowd down.
An electrifying second half start for the New York Knicks. Off to an 11-2 run.
And I think it all started by the bad offense of the Miami team. Offensively and defensively, they didn't come out of the halftime with any energy at all. Everybody's contributing to New York. The crowd's into it. They're back in the game.
New York has started 5 of 5 shooting from the field in the third quarter. Marley quickly trapped. Inside to Mourning from Brown. Handcuffed and fouled by the New York Knicks.
Well, that was just a great catch on Alonzo's part, too. It was a great pass, but he went up in between 2 players. They're trying to get the ball into him because they're trying to put pressure on him. You look, Brown just drops it over. That's the advantage of 2 big people passing to each other, and he catches it and puts pressure on the defense inside.
Charlie Ward picks up his second foul.
And that was a good foul by Charlie Ward. Make him earn him at the free throw line. At the same time, great design by Pat Riley, calling timeout, coming out of a timeout, and throw that lob to Alonzo right at the rim.
Mourning is 8 of 9, Danny, shooting from the free throw line tonight.
Well, and I think, Danny, you're right. What's got to happen, though, is because Miami is not shooting real well outside right now, they better guard Alonzo inside because Pat Riley is smart enough to put the emphasis on getting the ball inside right now.
Patrick Ewing has collected 14 rebounds tonight. The Knicks are shooting 35%. Miami 32. Sprewell fires. Oh, Nicole Sprewell.
Oh, if you're Miami, you don't want to see him get hot right now.
It's a 5-point Miami lead. Shot clock at 10. Hardaway to Mashburn. Sprewell now energized is on him with a feed inside for Mourning. And a New York Knicks foul, and for a second time they tag it on Patrick Ewing. You talk about ball movement. This is exactly the remedy for the New York Knicks.
Right, we didn't see this in the first half. They're moving the ball over, and here's Patrick, knowing he can't get it, jumps up and sets a screen for Sprewell to get the open shot.
And the defense more active now, John.
Far more active. That's what Jeff Van Gundy was telling them, that they would let their offense affect their defense. Now they're playing well offensively, so their defense has become more aggressive.
Here comes Sprewell, double team. Marley with the rebound, 7.5 to play in the third quarter. It's 48-43 Miami after leading by 18 in the first half. Knicks missed their first shot right there of this third quarter. Hardaway. Marley. Sprewell was right there. And Alonzo Mourning is open because Charlie Ward fell.
Well, Charlie Ward did a good job of taking the charge right there. Miami got that call earlier in the game on the penetration.
Well, and Jeff Van Gundy is beckoning to him to keep the pace up, to get down the floor with the ball and stop walking it. Then decide once you get down court whether you want to take your time.
Well, it looks like they're playing better with the quicker pace as a foul was called, and that's on Brown. for a fourth time for Coach Pat Riley. He's going to have to go to his bench.
Well, absolutely. New York is a fast-paced team. They've got to get the ball out and run. If they don't have the opportunity, then they've got to get smart and get movement in their half-court offense. But if they walk the ball down, they can't capitalize on the effect of the crowd in this gym.
So 4 on P.J. Brown. They lose a lot of size. And rebounding. Under 7 to play in the third. And as Houston was trying to swivel his way into the circle.
I like Houston's aggressiveness, though. That time he was patient. He got the ball. He saw Mashburn on him. I think he's got a little bit more confidence with Mashburn out there guarding him as opposed to Marley.
And Mashburn picks up his second.
Well, they better be careful with that, too. But I agree with Danny. I like this Allan Houston better than I did the Allan Houston in Game 5.
Sprewell missing for a second consecutive time. Things slowing up now with 2 straight New York misses after they began the third quarter, 5 of 5.
Well, it's a question of focus there. Both teams, Miami's got to be careful that they don't fall apart and keep their focus. New York's got to capitalize on the momentum they brought up in coming out this half.
And a foul called on Larry Johnson down low, and that's his third. It'll be interesting to see if Miami can weather the storm, as they have done so many times in situations like this throughout this series.
I think that's one of the greatest assets of Miami, is how they deal with adversity.
When they're patient and they're running set plays now, as opposed to throwing up a bunch of ignorance out there. They're taking their time and making certain they capitalize on getting a good shot.
Hardaway missing again from outside. He's 1 of 6. Great offensive rebound. Miami keeps it alive, and orchestrating is Hardaway on top.
Offensive rebounds have been big. That was a long rebound, tough one to get, but when New York's getting those, that's when they're able to get in the open court.
In a pool of double-team New York defense, Mourning missing. It's Ward, fires it inside, caught by Johnson and fouled by Clarence Weatherspoon. This does not even look close to the same New York team we saw in the first game.
Or the same Miami team.
Right, exactly.
Miami's very tentative, not getting to the basket, but I like the aggressive double teams by New York. Forcing them to shoot from the outside, taking long shots, attacking. Great patience on the break that time by Charlie Ward.
We're going to see Hardaway, I think, get yanked, and they're going to bring in Anthony Carter at the point. You see the numbers on Larry Johnson in the series and tonight.
And that's a great move. You know, I don't know what the plus minus is in tonight's game, but throughout this series, Anthony Carter's numbers when he's in the game, they are winning every time he comes out on the court. And Tim Hardaway, if he's not hitting that outside shot, which he's been missing this quarter, good substitution.
And look at the bottom number. You can see the average this series, who to play.
And that's amazing, you know, going in. That's a 45-point difference with different point guards on the court, and it's even bigger than that after tonight's first half.
Under 6 to play here in the third quarter. The Knicks again to within a 5-point reach of the Miami Heat. Kevin Harlan, John Thompson, Danny Ainge, and Cheryl Miller from the Garden. Weatherspoon to Marley, and Marley down to Mourning. Marley left free to fire. Oh, a great three-point shot by Dan Marley.
Well, I couldn't tell. I still don't know who. I think Sprewell is supposed to rotate. Houston was down on the double team, and they want Sprewell to rotate to Marley. Anybody but Marley shooting the open threes right now.
Well, Sprewell started, as you indicated, and then looked over at Houston and didn't go, and Dan just buried it.
Here comes Ewing. And now they've got him pushed on the perimeter. Sprewell comes to bail him out. Rebound by Zoe.
Well, that's why New York's got to be smart. You can make the comeback, but Miami is a good team that's not going to fade. New York's got to utilize it when they get close to this team and not lose their concentration.
Rotating again from side to side. Carter driving and flipping it out to Marley with a 3-second violation blown on the Miami Heat. Only the 4th turnover for Riley's Miami team tonight.
Well, you can see right here, the ball's going into Alonzo Mourning. Houston's coming down to double team. Sprewell's in perfect position to go get Marley, and then Houston's going away like he's supposed to. Sprewell late on the rotation.
Under 5 to play in the third.
But Houston's far more aggressive now than he was in the game, in the 5th game.
Here's Ewing. Double by Mashburn and Mourning. Sprewell shuffling it off to Ward. Mourning climbing the ladder, snaring the rebound. And Marley at the other end. 7 rebounds for Alonzo Mourning.
Well, Miami has to be smart now, as they're doing now, and get good shots. Carter did a good job of penetrating and getting it back, and so did Alonzo.
Shot clock at 5. Marley down the lane to the rack, and a rebound by Patrick.
And push the ball. That's what they've got to do. They've got to get down and push the ball.
Houston to Larry Johnson.
Great play by Allan Houston. Good patience and good aggressiveness.
Well, see, and that's the advantage of taking the ball down quickly. You get down and you get some free baskets, and that's the way you can just edge your way back into the game.
Miami has called a timeout. They've won 4 of the last 7 playoff games here in the Garden. They had an 18-point lead in the first half. It's been chopped down to 53-47. The playoffs on TNT.
NBA Playoffs 2000 on TNT. Brought to you by FreeInternet.com. Get unlimited free and anonymous internet access with FreeInternet.com. By Heineken. It's all about the beer. Heineken. And by Nike.
See why temptation can be a dangerous thing. Watch out for Alicia Silverstone in The Crush tomorrow at 10:30 on TNT.
And a crush of games coming up this weekend on NBC. We know that Game 1 of Portland-Los Angeles will come your way 3:30 Eastern Time. If there is a Game 7, NBC will air that on Sunday. If Miami wins tonight, it'll be Game 1 of the Eastern Conference Finals in Indianapolis. Tonight, all important, the Knicks facing elimination. 3:50 in the third. New York has come out to play in the second half. They trailed by 18 in the first half. Weatherspoon dancing inside the lane and trying to prop his shot up. And a foul. And it's called on Larry Johnson, who picks up number 4.
Well, the smart thing about it, they came out of the huddle, they ran a play, they came up with something, they got the foul out of it. New York's got to be very careful that it keeps its defensive intensity because it's let itself back in the game, but they cannot make foolish fouls at this point.
Larry Johnson will leave. Marcus Camby will come in. And Weatherspoon at the free throw line as P.J. Brown is on the Miami bench with 4 personal fouls. Larry Johnson, by the way, 6 points, all in this quarter. Ewing the rebound, number 16.
Patrick's got a big advantage right now. Otis Thorpe had a tough time guarding him in the first half. Let's see if they go to him on the block.
Well, in particular, if they do it off of movement, Danny.
Moving across the lane is Ewing, held by Thorpe, and a foul. With Mourning on the bench, Thorpe is back in there.
Well, in looking at it, it is extremely important for the Knicks to get some movement. Now Patrick is not settled. He sets a screen, he rolls, he then gives a fake and then cuts into the middle. As a result of it, it puts pressure on Miami's defense.
Camby tries to set the screen. Down the lane, slicing his way is Ward. And a foul on Miami. Was it on Anthony Carter? It appears as though it was. And that is his first of the game. Danny?
Good penetration again by Charlie Ward. If they're not going to honor him on those pick and rolls, they haven't showed much respect for him throughout the series. Attack the basket.
Well, and the big difference, Danny, you know, is that the Knicks are now not just staying on one side of the floor trying to dump the ball into the middle, and there's no weak side help. But once you get movement, a guy like Ward can get in the basket. You have another option other than just dropping the ball into the post.
So will come back in. He'll take the place of Weatherspoon. More size for the Miami Heat. Charlie Ward, Danny, is maybe in a way reinvented himself in this second round against Miami.
He's done a great job in this series. You know, Chris Childs has done it. They have 2 guys that have tag teamed most teams as a point guard position, and Charlie's had the better series.
New York from the free throw line tonight, 9 of 11. Miami, 19 of 25. Marley to Mourning. A quick double, and the shot clock at 6. Open for 3, Marley, and he can't get it. Clanking off the front, picked up by Ward. As he surveys, he was looking down the lane and trying to hit Camby, who is in full stride, out of bounds and off the New York Knicks.
Well, Charlie did not show signs of quarterback right there. He tried to throw a bullet John Elway through. He needed a little soft Dan Marino up there to Camby.
Some of the soft stuff. That's New York's first third quarter turnover. Miami is shooting 32%. 4 to shoot. Mashburn driving. Marley again launching a 3. And again, it's no good with the rebound pulled down by Sprewell.
That's great ball movement by Miami, and they're making New York work awful hard on the defensive end.
Well, Sprewell's doing a pretty good job on Mashburn. I mean, he's really getting on him and playing him tough, but Dan Molly is ducking every time the ball goes into the post or every time it's a penetration, and they're looking for him in the same spot. He's open.
Shot clock at 3 for Ewing. Rebound by Mashburn inside, and about 2 minutes to play here in the third quarter. The game is woken up. It's Mourning firing an interception inside, caught by Sprewell, who is held as he was out of the blocks and off to the races. And a foul called on Carter for his second time in the third quarter.
He's got such great anticipation, and he's so fast and covers so much ground on the weak side. 5 steals in game 5. That's a big play right there. Get to the free throw line.
Well, it's extremely important when he gets the ball like that somebody runs with him too. He's gone out a lot and had a lot of one-man fast breaks, in this series. But somebody fills the lane. If he does get down and he misses it, they can follow up and put it up quickly.
You talk about a rebuilding process with Sprewell. When he came here a couple years ago, his reputation was about as low as it could be, but he has been the model citizen since coming from Golden State in a trade with the New York Knicks.
And Jeff Van Gundy tells us he's the most unselfish of all the stars that he has on his team.
Most coachable.
Most coachable, and he's done a great job. And you got to give Ernie Grunfeld some credit for making that trade for Marcus Camby and Latrell Sprewell.
Johnny built this New York Knicks team that we're seeing tonight, and we saw last year in the finals.
Well, yeah, and that's definitely so, but you also have to give Sprewell a lot of credit, because a lot of times an athlete, when he has problems, doesn't recover for it, and it becomes a consistent thing.
Another turnover inside by Miami. It's Sprewell on the open floor, accelerating and firing inside. Mourning is there to gobble up the rebound.
You can just see the energy, though, but he's just a little bit hyper on that particular play. Couldn't get where he wanted to. He should have just backed it out and got something better.
But at least he gives the game some feel. Mashburn driving off the wing.
Boy, every time they've needed baskets, and throughout the series, Mashburn's been their guy, and he's just got such an advantage on Sprewell. We keep talking about it, but he can get a quality shot anytime.
Well, I think he's picking his spots too now. He's not pressing. I'm impressed with that. Sprewell, I think he's doing a good job of really trying to challenge him. But Mashburn, as you said, is really getting in there and getting shots when they need him.
Sprewell again with the shot clock at 2 has got to fire. Oh! A wicked jump shot outside by Latrell Sprewell has brought New York to within 4.
Well, their offense has broken down the last couple times. They got to do a better job of getting quality shots and executing near offense. You can't expect Latrell to bail them out with the shot clock down every time.
Marley lobs it off to Mashburn. Shot clock at 7. Winding down the third quarter. Carter for 3. Oh, and a great shot by the rookie Anthony Carter.
Well, and he's got a lot of guts. I mean, he takes his time, he passes, he looks for everybody else, and he takes himself as the last option and nails a shot like that. That takes a lot of guts.
Carter's got 9. Houston with 5 seconds left puts it right down the middle.
Boy, if Carter starts hitting those threes, New York's in trouble. But boy, what a great series he's had. What a name he's making for himself under intense pressure in this rivalry.
Carter good if it goes. The New York Knicks are not dead yet. They trailed by 18 in the first half and came out with a outstanding third quarter of play, scoring 10 more points and getting a couple more steals than Miami. We go to the exhilarating fourth. In Game 6, it's Miami by 5. We're back in New York, and it's Game 6 in the Eastern Conference Semifinals. At halftime, Miami led the Knicks by 15. At the end of 3, New York alive. They're down by 5. And tonight's budget rent-a-car, fast breaks. Look at the bench points for Miami.
And again, the free throws are a huge factor. Outscored them by 13 in Game 5, 9 already in this game.
Here is the Miami bench between quarters. If that last name looks familiar, it should. Stan Van Gundy is the younger brother of New York head coach Jeff Van Gundy. We begin the fourth quarter. Kevin Harlan, John Thompson, Danny Ainge, and Cheryl Miller. The New York Knicks coming off a 60% shooting third quarter from the field. And a Patrick Ewing foul. That is number 3.
It'll be interesting to see how much Patrick has left. He's had an excellent game tonight, but he's played a lot of minutes. Alonzo got a little bit of a break in the third quarter.
Good point. Carter chewed up New York in that third quarter. Here comes Mourning. Ewing is there. Shot clock at 6. Deploying a 2-point shot. Anthony Carter again hits from outside.
That's the guy they want shooting the jumpers, but he continues to make them pay.
Well, Miami is being very smart. They're taking their time and getting a good shot. And that's the thing that the Knicks have to keep their concentration. They have to be aggressive defensively, but they better realize that these guys certainly aren't going to be afraid because they made a run at them.
It's loose, and Ward just pushed Carter and picked up a New York Knicks foul. Ward is out there at the same time for Coach Jeff Van Gundy with Chris Childs. Rarely do they play together, but they're out there right now beginning the fourth quarter.
Right. They did a good job in the first half, I thought, giving them a little bit of energy. They got to use their full court pressure if they're going to have the little guys on the court.
Carter with the ball, the rookie, with a career playoff high of 11 points. Mashburn to Marley. If Miami wins, they close out the series. 5 to shoot. Alonzo Mourning hoisting up a shot. Sprinting Houston off to Childs at the other end. Rejected by Alonzo Mourning.
And that was just a great play by Alonzo. He hustled back down court. The guards were running, and he got back and blocked the shot, that time on Charles.
There's a fourth foul called on Charlie Ward.
Well, right here, who made this play was Carter. He runs by right here and makes Childs pick the ball up early, allowing Alonzo to come over and make the easy block.
So Camby is in with Childs, Houston. Sprewell comes in. Ewing is in the middle.
It's impressive how well Carter is shooting the ball, particularly a guy that sacrifices his game for other people. It's obvious that he has the ability to stick the open shot.
Plowing inside is Alonzo Mourning, and a foul is called. And Chris Childs picks up number 2.
And already that's 4 team fouls to 0 by the Heat. They're getting the penalty for the last 10 minutes of this game. That's going to be a huge factor.
Yeah, 10:19 left in the fourth.
Well, what they're doing, what Miami's doing so smart is that almost in every possession, if they don't get an easy open shot, they're coming up with something, a basket or a foul or an easy open shot.
Ashburn, triple team, threw it inside. Ricochet is out of bounds off the Miami Heat. That is the 7th Miami turnover tonight.
Well, and you got to watch New York now. They've got to sustain that attitude that they came out in the second half now, because they are such an emotional team that they'll emotionally break down in a second.
Childs to Houston. Mourning comes out with Marley to double. And a whistle. It's on Miami. And they put it on Dan Marley for a 3rd time. Just under 10 minutes remaining in the fourth quarter. And Miami holding on to a 7-point, 60-53 lead in Game 6. Here now, the American Express leaderboard. The subject, most three-pointers in playoff history. And coming into tonight, Dan Marley was tied at 172 with Danny Ainge. Tonight, he's knocked down 3 from above the arc.
All off of penetration and double teams. Dan knows his role on this team. It's to knock down those threes. About 70% of his field goal attempts in this series are behind that 3-point line, and he'll make you pay for cheating down on Alonzo and Jamal Mashburn.
Well, what's significant, too, is the Knicks made a run at them. They were in a position to take the lead. They didn't take the lead. Miami answered them. And now, psychologically, you've got to wonder whether the Knicks are able to still keep their confidence up.
Both teams shooting about 35% from the field. Rebounding in the game. They're tied at 36 in rebounding. It's Ewing chiseling his way inside on Mourning with the rebound pulled down by Mashburn.
Well, I don't only worry about New York psychologically. I worry about him physically a little bit, too. Patrick's played a lot of minutes in this game, battling with Zoe down there. I don't know how much he's got left in the tank.
Ewing's played 36 minutes.
Well, he's played 36 minutes, and Danny's absolutely correct. He hasn't been playing that much time, and New York's got to get more movement in their offense so that if a shot is missed, they're in a position to get rebounds.
Warning the miss on a bounds off the New York Knicks with 9:18 to play. P.J. Brown will set to come back in for Miami. He's playing with 4 fouls.
I just think Miami just looks so much more confident than the Knicks. And the Knicks should feel good because they were out of the ball game, put themselves back in it, but they seem to have gotten a little discouraged that they couldn't pass Miami.
Mourning and Ewing will lead. Now Miami with the inbound from Mashburn to Carter out there at Brown, Thorpe, and Marley. Sprewell guarding Mashburn. Defense rotates. Here's the pass to Carter. Thorpe inside. Rebound by Larry Johnson with 9 minutes to play in the 4th quarter. Only 2 points have been scored in the first 3 minutes of the 4th quarter.
You can bet any run by New York, you'll get Alonzo right back in that game.
Absolutely correct. And New York needs to run, just as you said, all penetrators they just did.
A dynamite move by Latrell Sprewell.
Yeah, and I don't know if they make that basket if Alonzo's in there. He covers so much ground, and he's such a great shot blocker, but every time he goes out of the game, it opens up the basket.
And that's why New York needs to run, get down, and get in and get layups, as well as penetrating what they did just then.
Marley drive. Carter spoon feeds Mashburn. Rebound by Childs. It's a 5-point game, and the Knicks have it as Childs tries to cultivate something, and it's off to Houston. Guarding him was Marley, one of the great matchups that Danny Ainge talked about before the game tonight. Out of bounds, 14 seconds to shoot.
A great move by Sprewell right here. Gets the ball in the post and makes a quick move. He rips and goes baseline, one dribble, covers a lot of ground, uses his quickness to get by Mashburn. Mashburn goes, "Where's Zoe?"
Here he comes right now. He's in the game.
And Thorpe will leave, as will Carter.
Well, you know, and that was a perfect example. What makes this Miami defense so great is that they can put pressure on the perimeter, and they're very tough, particularly when you've got one of the best shot blockers in the league in the back.
Here's Childs. Hardaway is back in, the earliest he's played in a 4th quarter in 3 games. Sprewell trying to drive across the lane. Bruce Bowen was in. Alonzo Mourning was there, and the foul goes on Bruce Bowen for a first time tonight.
Well, Mashburn wasn't doing a very good job on Sprewell, so they got Bowen in there. Great defensive player, tried to calm him down. Sprewell, they cannot allow him to get hot.
Childs, Sprewell, and Bowen. Shot clock at 4. Sprewell. Rebound by Timmy Hardaway, who's not had a good shooting night. 1 of 7 from the field, in contrast to how he played in Game 5 Wednesday in Miami. Mourning drawing the double. Bowen for 3. Rebound by Houston. Here comes Houston rolling with Sprewell down the lane. Driving is Houston, and a foul called on Miami. With 7.5 to play in the 4th quarter. And it's a second foul assessed to Bowen. I think he's hobbled.
I couldn't tell if they bumped knees or if he stepped on Bowen's foot going to the basket. Hopefully it's just a bump knee, because those ankles take a little longer to come back.
When the Knicks are such a different team, when they defend, get the ball out and get down and get early offense, as opposed to being impatient and running their half-court offense.
Knee to knee.
I think he actually rolled his ankle on that one.
Maybe both.
Yeah, he's holding his foot. But again, the long shots are leading to the fast break. When they're making them, they're back breakers. When Miami's knocking those down, but when they're missing them, that's when New York has had a chance to get in the open court.
New York from the free throw line tonight has taken 14 free throws, and they've made 10. Houston, who does not get to the line all that much, with his second free throw tonight. 15 for Allan Houston.
Good job of Childs pressuring Tim Hardaway full court.
Brown to Marley. Mourning inside, riding some rough terrain, and a foul called on the New York Knicks defense. Johnson picks up number 5. Let's watch that play once again when Houston was rolling down the lane.
It looks like he does it right there before he plants. Ooh, right there. And then he does it again right there on his foot. Ow.
There's the term breaking your ankles when a guy makes a good move on you, but not like that.
Well,
I think that refers to the crossover dribble, though.
Floor execution's got to come in. Floor execution's got to come in. Down 5 at home, 7 to go. We're going to win the game.
Dig in, man. Dig in.
Pretty bold statement by Jeff Van Gundy.
Well, yeah, execution's been their downfall in the last few minutes, but they got to work on the execution of their defense as well, because Miami's going to go down inside to Alonzo, and Alonzo until Mashburn comes back in. He may get some touches, but Alonzo was so physical, and guys are bouncing off him right now. He is a man on a mission.
And he's 9 of 11 from the free throw line as we send it over to Cheryl Miller.
And Kevin, after that last timeout, Allan Houston went over to the trainer, said that he was fine, that his ankle is not bothering him. It was just a quick roll, and obviously he's going to finish out this game, guys.
Thank you, Cheryl.
That's a sign of a good body. I'd have been out for a month on that one.
One rebound advantage for the New York Knicks. Miami has controlled the glass the entire series. Childs in for Ward, who's got a bit of foul trouble. Ewing and Mourning. The fight begins with 4 seconds to shoot. The drive by Patrick, and he snaps it out to Sprewell.
That wasn't the execution Jeff Van Gundy wanted coming out of the timeout. They were supposed to run a quick pick and roll with Sprewell and Childs, and Sprewell didn't set the pick.
Miami has missed their last 5 shots from the field. Mourning across the lane into a thicket of New York defenders, and a foul.
I find it very interesting that Tim Hardaway is in the game right now. We've documented the plus-minus of Carter in the game.
Yeah.
But and Hardaway not being himself, hasn't made very many shots tonight. Struggled from the three-point line and not near as good defensively or rebounding as Carter.
Ewing picks up his 4th foul. Here's Alonzo at the free throw line, and John, Miami has been ruthless in this particular section of just dumping it into Zoe and letting everything kind of go and gravitate toward him defensively for New York.
Well, what is happening is Miami is doing exactly what Jeff Van Gundy was trying to get the Knicks to do. They're executing. When they come down, they take their time, they get the ball into Alonzo, they come up with something. If they don't get an easy basket, they get a foul. And that's extremely important for the Knicks to do, particularly after they've gotten themselves this close.
Mourning misses both. Another rebound for Patrick Ewing, who has 17, which is the most he's had in any playoff game this year.
But New York got back in this game by scrambling on the defensive end.
Houston drills it from outside. As he hobbles back the other way on 2 bad ankles.
Now, when they go down to Alonzo, they got to make a quick, aggressive double team. Alonzo is not making good decisions out of the aggressive traps. If you give him time to see what the defense is doing, he's pretty good.
Approaching the halfway point of the 4th quarter. Shot clock at 5. And the Miami Heat break a 5-minute drought without a field goal.
Well, almost everybody on the team touched the ball. They took it to one side, brought it to the other side, and then dumped it into Alonzo. Dan threw a good pass. Alonzo made a great shot.
Shove inside and a quick foul. Miami is called.
This might calm Allen down a little bit, this ankle sprain. Maybe could make him run a little bit slower, a little bit more poised and patient. Right here, he just gathers himself, goes up in good rhythm, doesn't have to force a shot. Great execution.
But splashes his 17th point of the night. A 5th foul was called on P.J. Brown. Shot clock at 7. Childs. He'll take it inside. Ewing is open over Mourning. Rebound by Dan Marley with 5.5 to play in the game, and Miami leading it 64-58.
Good play by Chris Childs, penetrating, getting Patrick open on the baseline.
Miami is weathering the storm.
They're weathering the storm because they're protecting their possession. They're coming up with everything. If they don't have it, they end up getting a good shot.
Wanting the miss.
Can't exactly say that was a good one, though.
Nope.
New York's got to make some shots. It's that simple. They're getting open looks. They got to knock them down.
Child right down the lane.
I love it. Jeff Van Gundy put Charlie Ward in the game right before that drive. Chris Childs goes in, knocks down the shot. Charlie Ward says, hey, coach, let him stay. He's playing well. He's got some confidence now.
But the New York bench has only produced 4 points tonight. Hardaway to Marley. Bowen drives across the lane, inside.
Great penetration, very tough shot. Off of good ball movement, which enabled them to shift the defense of New York so that they can penetrate.
Miami continually answers the Knicks.
Oh, big shot by Bowen. He had a big one in game 5. That was huge.
Ewing inside, double team. Slammed in by Marcus Camby.
That's where Camby is really effective. Coming in from the weak side and protecting the drive when somebody goes over to help.
Alonzo Mourning with 22 points and 10 rebounds.
They better watch Dan Marley because he's been open all game and just been throwing the extra pass.
With a seductive fake, Marley cannot get the shot to go, although he maneuvered inside at close range. 3.5 to play. Houston the drive, flips it to Childs, over to Sprewell. The fake and the drive on Bowen. The shot clock showing 7. Ewing is open, and they let him fire. Oh!
Chris Childs does a good job. He doesn't even need the screen. He goes away from it, goes right by, and Hardaway goes up over Alonzo Mourning for a great shot. Here against the rotation, Bowen takes it into the paint. A circus shot. What a big prayer right there. And right here, good penetration by Sprewell, finding Ewing for a wide open 15-foot shot. The crowd goes crazy.
Welcome back to the playoffs on TNT. We're in New York, where the New York Knicks trailed by 18 points in the first half. Now they trail by 2. Next week, it's the Western Conference, Game 2, Monday night from the Staples Center. The Portland Trail Blazers and the Los Angeles Lakers. The home teams in the playoffs in the West have gone 24-4. And that Western Conference series may be the best remaining in the playoffs. The commissioner watching tonight. Approaching 3 minutes to play. You see neither team with the foul to give. The timeout story in Miami with the ball and with the lead. Mashburn, shot clock at 7. From Brown to Marley to Carter, uncovered. And he drills it from outside.
Guy's amazing.
You can't say enough about him, Dan. I mean, here's a guy that's basically a defensive player, a distributor of the ball. In a big game like this, he's coming out and burying everything.
Captivating performance by Carter, the rookie, who has a career playoff high 13 points. Allan Houston at the other end.
Great patience and poise by Allan Houston. All he did was rip Dan Marley through the ball through Dan Marley's arms, step back, knock down the shot.
Well, that's what we've been looking for him because he's got too much ability just to sit back and to be passive.
Mashburn to Marley. Carter again. Oh, what a captivating performance by Anthony Carter. He's a flamethrower in this second half of play.
Well, Jeff Van Gundy's very frustrated, but they're taking the ball out of Alonzo Mourning's hands. They got to make some decisions, and that's the guy they want to shoot. He hasn't been knocking down the shots the whole series, but that's a bad double team. And Latrell Sprewell late coming out of the double team.
15 points for Carter, 6 in the quarter.
And right there, long jumper from the top of the key. Again, ball movement. The spacing is excellent.
He is torching the New York Knicks tonight. With his numbers right there, he was the star in Game 5, and he looks to be the star in Game 6 for Miami.
Well, the thing that Miami is doing extremely well, New York's attempting to rotate, but they're throwing that extra pass. Every time somebody comes out, they're whipping that thing around the perimeter until they find the guy that's unguarded. They're putting so much emphasis, the Knicks are, on trying to go back on Alonzo that the perimeter people are open for Miami.
Timeout story. Neither team a foul to give. We're approaching 2 minutes to play in regulation. Miami by 4. Here comes Houston. Back to Childs. Makes the fake on Carter. Sprewell. Childs. Oh, what a fake by Childs to get open for the shot. And slammed in by Patrick Ewing.
37-year-old Patrick Ewing. Did you see that play, Coach?
I'm not going to say a thing. Fine wine.
Standing around on offense.
Standing around, and Alonzo doesn't want to be dribbling the ball out on the perimeter. He wants to keep it moving. That's the thing that gave him success.
Alonzo Mourning with an outside shot, and the New York Knicks can tie it here. New York last led with 7 minutes to play in the first quarter. And P.J. Brown picks up his 6th foul, and he is gone.
Well, you got to give a lot of credit to Childs because Chris Childs is out there creating action. Defensively, loose balls, he's creating action.
Right here, good play by Chris Childs. Great looking shot, causes the defense to rotate. Patrick Ewing jumps off a trampoline for the tip in that time.
I was going to let him narrate that one because that's that old man he's been talking about. Right. I saw a lot of young kids that couldn't do that, though.
No points for P.J. Brown and a meager 5 rebounds, and a guy who's averaging about 10 a game in this series.
And you know what's significant in this, the way Patrick is playing right now, is what Danny indicated, that this is more minutes. He hasn't been resting, but yet he's giving this kind of performance. I think it's a tribute to his courage.
You just saw the second chance points with Childs bringing the Knicks to within 1 in every game this series. The team that has had the most second chance points has won. And right now, New York has a chance to tie, and they've got 8-1 in terms of second chance points tonight.
Uh-oh, that's a bad sign for Miami.
Miami could eliminate New York tonight with the win. Now we are tied at 70 apiece. The Heat led by 18 points in the first half. New York has climbed their way back to tie it. Coming into tonight, Miami was 1 win away from extinguishing 2 years of playoff frustration against their rival, the New York Knicks. New York was down by 18 points in the first half. It began in the early stages of the third quarter, and their comeback now has led to a tie at 70 apiece with 1:31 to play in the game. And Danny, what did Pat Riley tell his Miami Heat during that timeout?
Well, he drew up a big play offensively right here, trying to, one of his best plays offensively. He needs to get some execution right here, and I'll be surprised if it doesn't go to Alonzo sometime down on the block.
Carter picked up by Childs. Ward is on the bench. Carter from outside. Rebound by Sprewell.
That was not the play that Pat Riley designed, I guarantee you that.
New York hasn't led since the first quarter.
I'd like to see Allan Houston get open right now.
Sprewell inside Camby, rejected by Alonzo Mourning. He led the NBA in block shots this year as the Defensive Player of the Year.
That was a great play by Alonzo, but if Camby could have caught that ball clean, he had a chance for an easy dunk.
Mourning quickly double. Marley to Bowen. They go inside. Ewing denies the pass. Here comes Childs the other way, holds his footing. Houston with the ball. Shot clock at 17, big clock at 23, and a timeout taken by the New York Knicks. They've got 1 left, and Miami has 2.
Big block by Alonzo down here. Great play by Sprewell. He just fumbled it, gave Alonzo time to recover, and then a great play by Patrick Ewing down at the other end. Gives New York the ball.
What a mesmerizing finish. The New York Knicks have not led since the 7-minute mark of the first quarter. We're tied at 70, and moments ago a timeout taken by New York with 23 seconds to play and 17 to shoot.
You got to get the first good shot. I don't know who they're going to go to. If they're going to go to Sprewell, if they're going to go to Patrick on the block, or go to Houston. Houston's got the most points in the game so far, but they're going to space the floor, try to get Camby on the offensive glass, and if the first good opportunity, they want to let it go.
Neither team has a delay of game so far.
Right, I doubt if they'll use it on this possession. New York still has one timeout left. Carter may use it right here because of that timeout situation with New York.
Well, the most important thing is to get the ball inbound and make sure they get a good shot. I wouldn't be surprised if here's Houston open, but I wouldn't be surprised if Patrick doesn't end up taking the shot as he always does.
A foul on Dan Marley. Marley picks up the foul, and he's got 4 as Houston tried to slash his way from the wing to the lane.
Well, this is a great play. He's had this opportunity the whole series to just drive by Dan right there because you got Alonzo coming up to trap the pick and roll. He's got a quickness advantage.
Remember, it was Houston who beat Miami last year, Game 5. And he gives the New York Knicks their first lead since midway through the first quarter.
Well, and that's good because he's aggressively going to try to catch the ball. He at least tried to go to the basket aggressively and emphasize the fact that Marley is physical. Plus the fact that he's such a good free throw shooter that it serves a purpose by going to the basket.
17 seconds left. The New York Knicks have a 2-point lead. Timeout, Miami.
NBA Playoffs 2000 on TNT. Brought to you by Budget, who has a variety of great rental cars for people who like renting great cars. By Gatorade Thirst Quencher. It's in the NBA. Is it in you? By Merrill Lynch, who invites you to log on to ML.com. By Jeep, makers of the Grand Cherokee, Cherokee, and Wrangler. And by AT&T One Rate 7-cent plan. One simple rate all day, every day.
Miami has a timeout. They trail by 2. You see the New York huddle. Danny, take me inside the Miami huddle with Pat Riley.
Well, Pat Riley's going to go inside. He did a Mashburn on the mismatch, but I really believe he's going to go to Mourning. If New York is the question, are they going to double team Mourning or let Patrick handle him one-on-one in fear of giving up the three-point shot off the double team?
John, what would you do?
Well, Patrick just made a good play in trying to steal it, but you got to be careful because Miami, once they dump the ball into Alonzo, everybody's standing around on the perimeter. A 3 will cause the Knicks to lose, and 2 will go in overtime. Patrick's got to guard Alonzo right now because I think they will be looking for him.
Hardaway is on the floor with Mashburn, Marley, Carter, and Mourning.
They got 4 3-point shooters out there on the court with Mourning.
Carter. Inside, Alonzo Mourning. Out to Carter for the lead. Rebound, New York. Game is over. The New York Knicks have beaten the Miami Heat. Carter misses a 3-point shot at the buzzer, which would have won it for the Miami Heat. Now it's Game 7, Sunday in Miami. The New York Knicks 72, the Miami Heat 70. It'll go to 7 games. Let's send it over to Cheryl Miller.
Allan, first of all, you guys are down by 15. Coach Van Gundy says that was the worst first half that this team has ever played. How did you guys come out? What was the emotional state in the second half?
I just got to thank the Lord for coming through tonight, for me personally and for this team, because you can't look back. You know, we had a terrible first half, but we didn't look back. We just looked ahead, and it's not going to be easy.
What is it about this rivalry, the way that you guys came back in this game? It looked like it was over. The guys were hanging their heads a little bit, but you guys picked it up second half.
We stuck together in the locker room in halftime. We just said we got to do it together. It's going to be a great comeback, and we saw it. And I just got to thank the Lord again for sticking with us.
You're a little quiet in the second half. You rolled your ankles, but you came out and knocked down some great points. 7 points after you rolled your ankle.
You know, I just wanted to stay on it. I didn't want to come off of it and let it get tight. So I just got to thank God that he healed me real quick.
Hey, Allan, winning a game like this, coming back from 15 points down, how do you guys feel about going into Game 7 and winning down in Miami?
Well, you know what? It's all a plan. Nobody knows what's going to happen. Well, we have a lot of faith, and we've done it before. And so all we want to do is give ourselves a chance tonight, and that's what we did.
All right, congratulations. Let's go back to you, Kevin.
So New York wins it 72-70. The final seconds right here, Danny.
Well, right here, they're trying to go a misdirection play, swing it back and dump it into Alonzo at the post. He gets great position right there. Here's a double team. That's the gamble. Great shot. No fear by the rookie. Ball game.
And New York holds the Miami Heat to 12 points in the fourth quarter. What a finish.
Only 25 points in the entire second half.
What'd you think of the shot, John?
Well, I thought it was a good shot, but the rotation was made far more aggressively than it has been made. Alonzo came out to set the screen and roll. Childs went back, but he came back out real aggressively and got out on Carter.
Carter won in overtime here last week with a shot. It would not happen tonight. Once again, our final score, 72-70. The New York Knicks are alive. And for John Thompson, Danny Ainge, Cheryl Miller, and our entire NBA on TNT crew, Kevin Harlan saying goodnight from New York. The Knicks have eliminated Miami 2 consecutive years. Will they make it 3 straight years of frustration for Miami and Pat Riley? We'll find out Sunday afternoon. Now let's send you off to Studio A in Atlanta, where Ernie Johnson and the gang will bring you Inside the NBA, presented by Hyundai. What a night. The series tied at 3-3, heading back to South Florida for Game 7 Sunday afternoon.